solemn and majestic atmosphere enveloped the entire Xianxia immortal domain, as streams of immortal sect armies converged upon Central State like rivers flowing to the sea. Though these groups hailed from different regions and carried varied ambitions, their purpose was singular: to attend Xianxia's celestial, immortal grand ceremony. With several dozen days remaining before the event, Central State, vast as it was, had already reached capacity. Not only the vicinity of the former Ming sect, now the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's central division, but the entirety of Central State brimmed with activity. Every immortal city overflowed with cultivators from other regions. Despite being the largest of the 5 continents, Central State struggled to accommodate the overwhelming influx. Fortunately, the foresight of city lords across Central State had mitigated the chaos. They employed various methods to expand the space within their cities, creating layer upon layer of mystical accommodations to house the arriving cultivators. Thanks to Central State's deep foundations, these efforts averted a complete breakdown. Nevertheless, many cultivators found themselves living in cramped quarters alongside strangers, a novel experience for most. The vastness of the Xianxia immortal domain typically ensured abundant space, and such congestion was unheard of under normal circumstances. Amid this unprecedented gathering, minor incidents inevitably arose. Treasures were stolen within the crowded cities, grudges flared on the roads, and occasional scuffles disturbed the fragile peace. To maintain order, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance swiftly exerted its influence, pressuring major sects to step in and resolve disputes. Warnings were issued. No faction attending the grand ceremony was to engage in conflict. Violators would be expelled from Central State and barred from the ceremony. This decisive stance quelled the chaos. Those who attempted to exploit the situation were swiftly dealt with, their punishments serving as stark warnings to others. As the days passed, the 100-day countdown reached its end. The long-awaited celestial immortal grand ceremony officially began, heralded by an awe-inspiring phenomenon. On that day, every cultivator in Central State felt an ethereal presence emanate from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's central division. An intangible tidal wave of power swept across Central State, blanketing its expanse with an irresistible force. For a fleeting moment, every mind cleared as if a mist had been dispelled by a refreshing breeze. The sensation was akin to the calm after a mountain rain, serene and revitalizing. The sheer magnitude of this power, affecting millions of cultivators simultaneously, left no doubt as to its source. In every immortal city, cultivators poured into the streets or ascended to the highest rooftops, gazing toward the distant horizon. There, in the former territory of the Ming sect, a massive, radiant tree of pure white light pierced the heavens, its ethereal branches stretching into the 9 heavens above. Round its crown, a colossal vortex spanned hundreds of miles, churning with divine energy. Every detail of the tree, each branch, each leaf, was exquisitely lifelike. As it swayed gently in the storm of its own creation, it exuded a tranquil, zen-like aura embodying the laws of heaven and earth. Any who attempted to probe the tree with spiritual senses found themselves lost in its infinite depths, as though swallowed by an endless ocean. Afterward they would emerge drenched in cold sweat, their hearts trembling with awe. Instinctively, they would bow deeply toward the void, their reverence irrepressible. Had Xianxia not consciously restrained his power, this single phenomenon could have devoured the souls of an entire continent's cultivators. The luminous tree cast its brilliance across the land, dispelling all darkness with its radiant light. From the heavens, a fine golden snow began to descend, blanketing every corner of Central State. This golden snow wasn't merely an aesthetic display, it was imbued with dense celestial energy. Wherever it fell, the spiritual essence of the void surged with unparalleled richness. Cultivators instinctively absorbed the falling energy, feeling their meridians expand and their cultivation progress accelerate as if they had consumed a divine elixir. This golden snow, it actually enhances cultivation. We've struck gold, coming here was worth it after all. Exclamations of joy and excitement resounded across Central State cities and sects as cultivators eagerly absorbed the celestial energy. Even true immortal-level cultivators joined in, their reverence for Xianxia deepening. Everyone understood. This was a gift, a fortuitous opportunity granted by Xianxia to those attending the ceremony. The sheer scale of this event saw the cultivation bases of millions in Central State rising steadily. their auras growing more robust with every passing moment. Of course, greed inevitably emerged amidst the marvel. Some ambitious individuals took to the skies, seeking to harness their divine powers or magical treasures to gather the scattered golden snow for themselves. However, the moment they acted, they realized the futility of their efforts. This fortune belongs to me, all of it. What? Impossible. Why isn't my technique working? The celestial energy defied collection by force, rebuffing all attempts to manipulate it. Those who sought to hoard it quickly found themselves humbled. Chapter 1503. The grand ceremony begins /2. No matter what methods they tried, no one could alter or control the trajectory of the golden snow. It seemed almost intangible, as if it didn't belong to this world, untouchable until the moment it settled on the ground, where it could then be absorbed by those present. The mastery of that one is truly earth-shattering. Even the blessings he bestows so casually are beyond comprehension. After countless futile attempts, the cultivators could only marvel in awe, no longer daring to act presumptuously as they quietly absorbed the celestial energy. A surreal scene unfolded across Central State. On vast plains in bustling immortal cities, atop grand sect halls, amid serene rivers and soaring clouds, cultivators sat cross-legged meditating. Bathed in a faint golden glow, their auras steadily ascended, as if basking in an invisible sunlight. Central State was transformed into a golden wonderland, resembling a divine kingdom. This ethereal brilliance combined with the celebratory decorations prepared for the celestial immortal grand ceremony. Red silks, golden lanterns, intricately carved railings, and exquisite murals, creating a dreamlike spectacle. Meanwhile, the patriarchs of the great immortal sects, standing apart from the masses, watched the golden snow with astonishment and perplexity. Though the energy was beneficial to them as well, they understood it was not intended for them. Their status and pride prevented them from partaking in this gift, as doing so would imply a loss of dignity, even if the giver was a celestial immortal. Days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, yet Central State seemed to enter a strange temporal stillness. For 100 days, the land was silent, every living being immersed in cultivation. Finally, as the golden snow gradually ceased, figures began rising from their meditative states. First, they looked around in confusion at the towering tree still standing between heaven and earth, then inwardly examined their strengthened cultivation bases, marveling at their newfound power. In gratitude, they turned and bowed deeply toward the distant source of their fortune. Throughout Central State, similar scenes unfolded. Suddenly, a deep and resonant drumbeat echoed across the mountains and rivers, snapping everyone out of their trance. Accompanying the drumbeats were mysterious hums emanating from the former Ming sect, now the central division of the rogue Cultivator Alliance. Brilliant white light streamed from the celestial tree, forming radiant pathways in the sky. Upon closer inspection, the cultivators realized these paths were made of the tree's fallen leaves, inviting them to the grand ceremony. The sheer magnificence of this display left the gathered cultivators breathless. This is terrifying. Such casual gestures reveal the overwhelming power of a celestial immortal. The awestruck cultivators marveled at the spectacle, their reverence for Xianxia growing with each revelation of his power. A voice calm yet commanding resounded through the void. "Friends, the ceremony has begun. Those who wish to attend follow the paths." It was Xianxia. Hearing his words, no one dared hesitate. They eagerly ascended the celestial paths, fearing they might miss this once-in-a-lifetime event. The skies above Central State were soon filled with cultivators, their figures densely packed like droplets in a rainstorm. In the blink of an eye, they found themselves transported. They now stood in a vast, resplendent space, a grand hall adorned with carved railings, painted beams, and lofty stone platforms. This was the former Ming sect, now the seat of the rogue Cultivator Alliance in Central State. Unbelievable! This spatial folding technique must have created a space large enough to accommodate half of Central State. So this is the power of a celestial immortal, truly terrifying. The crowd was awestruck, marveling at the grandeur around them. Before them loomed an enormous, multicolored platform forged from celestial stones, majestic and radiant. Surrounding them were other cultivators, but the crowding scene in the immortal cities was absent, a clear indication of Xianxia's mastery over spatial manipulation. Now I understand. This is what true celestial power looks like. If he willed it, he could destroy all of Central State effortlessly. Even the patriarchs of ancient sects, accustomed to wielding immense power, murmured in awe, their pride utterly subdued. Jiang Chengxuan's successive demonstrations of power had left them fully convinced of his supremacy. The crowd's attention shifted to the central platform, where they awaited Jiang Chengxuan's arrival, eager to witness a true celestial immortal. As anticipation reached its peak, a deep horn sounded, reverberating through the space. A dazzling spectacle unfolded atop the grand platform. Streams of nine-colored celestial light surged forth, birthing mythical creatures, dragons, phoenixes, and killins, that roared and galloped into existence. Unlike ordinary phenomena, these creatures seemed alive, brimming with intelligence, their breath stirring the air, their movements fluid and lifelike. The crowd gasped in astonishment, overwhelmed by the display. As the radiance subsided, rows of rogue Cultivator Alliance disciples, adorned in ceremonial attire with ancient runic markings on their faces, solemnly took their places on the platform. At the auspicious moment, the disciples and elders began reciting hymns of tribute. The verses praised the philosophy of the rogue Cultivator Alliance, recounted Jiang Chengxuan's achievements, and expressed gratitude for his ascension to the celestial immortal realm. The hymns resonated with an air of reverence, captivating the audience. Every detail of Jiang Chengxuan's journey, from his profound insights to his groundbreaking accomplishments, was etched into the minds of the listeners. Many nodded fervently, their discussions filled with admiration and fervor, as if understanding these hymns might allow them to achieve similar heights. The ritual continued for half a day, leaving the crowd hungry for more. Then came a thunderous chant. "Welcome, Celestial Sovereign, Master of the Tao. Welcome, Celestial Sovereign, Master of the Tao. Welcome, Celestial Sovereign, Master of the Tao." The deafening cries jolted everyone back to reality, their gazes fixed on the central platform. From the celestial tree, a starlit cosmos unfolded, a miniature universe swirling with celestial bodies. From within this cosmic tableau, Jiang Chengxuan emerged, stepping forth as if from the annals of eternity. Dressed in simple black robes devoid of embellishment, his mere presence outshone all treasures. Beside him was Shen Ruyan, her ethereal beauty amplified by her celestial demeanor, her eyes locked on Jiang Chengxuan with unwavering admiration. The pair descended gracefully, eliciting unrestrained awe from the crowd. Their gazes reflected a blend of reverence and envy. Jiang Chengxuan's voice carried across the domain, calm yet commanding. "Friends of the Xianxia immortal domain, welcome to the celestial immortal grand ceremony. After the great calamity, we now have this rare moment of peace. Let this ceremony mark a new beginning. May we abandon ceaseless conflict, pursue the Tao together, and safeguard peace for generations to come." His words resonated deeply, leaving everyone stunned. Chapter 1504. The Climax of the Grand Ceremony, Three Heavenly Immortals /1. Jiang Chengxuan's voice echoed throughout the mountain gates of the Kainaming River immortal sect, sparking widespread discussion. No one expected that at the grand ceremony of the Heavenly Immortals, the first thing Jiang Chengxuan would say would aim to end the chaotic situation plaguing the entire Xianxia immortal domain. Such vision and magnanimity earned him the admiration of everyone present. Moments later, an elder ancestor of an immortal sect appeared, bowed, and declared in a resounding voice, "Your Excellency's righteousness is unparalleled. The great calamity has brought suffering to the beings of the immortal domain. Due to the meddling of selfish individuals, the Xianxia immortal domain has become a chaotic mess. Now, with Your Excellency leading the way, our Tianhua immortal sect is willing to follow your guidance." This elder, though aged and frail, radiated solemnity. His eyes gleamed as if deeply pondering the plight of all living beings. However, those who knew him silently cursed him in their hearts, thinking, "This shameless old man. He acted so quickly to seize the best opportunity to show loyalty." "We of the Nanwang immortal sect are also willing to comply with Your Excellency's will, and will no longer stir up conflicts. Your Excellency's concern for the suffering of the people is truly humbling for us. We pledge to stand by Your Excellency and safeguard the peace of the immortal domain, ensuring that no more man-made disasters arise. Your Excellency's kindness will never be forgotten. Your righteousness is the very essence of immortal benevolence." Immediately, other high-ranking elders and ancestors of various immortal sects began to express their support for Jiang Chengxuan, one after another. Although their hearts harbored different thoughts, their expressions were steadfast, as though they had never participated in the chaos of the immortal domain. In truth, they were merely bowing to the authority Jiang Chengxuan now wielded, rushing to declare their allegiance lest others steal the limelight. At this point, even if Jiang Chengxuan had called for the annihilation of the immortal domain, they would have followed him just the same. I have no intention of becoming a ruler of the immortal domain or of having anyone follow me. However, since you are all willing to cease hostilities, I thank you on behalf of all living beings in the immortal domain. Jiang Chengxuan responded calmly and returned the bows of the immortals present. His humble demeanor further solidified his reputation among the many cultivators, who now understood that Jiang Chengxuan had no desire to dominate the immortal domain. His only wish was to end the endless wars. Many smaller sects and minor forces in particular felt deep admiration for Jiang Chengxuan. In their hearts, they praised him countless times over. For these smaller powers, the cessation of chaos was the greatest blessing. During the turmoil, they were little more than cannon fodder for the larger forces, daring not to voice their grievances. Now, Jiang Chengxuan, standing as a lone savior, brought them hope. Amidst the collective awe and reverence, the millennia-long chaos in the immortal domain following the great calamity finally came to an end. From that moment, all major factions and forces of the immortal domain swiftly withdrew their armies and ceased their battles, returning peace to the world. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan smiled sincerely. Having reached the level of a heavenly immortal, he had become more connected to the immortal domain itself. Bringing an end to the conflicts was his way of repaying this bond. This young man has a grand vision. He is not to be underestimated. Indeed, to ascend to the rank of heavenly immortal, standing at the pinnacle of immortality, yet still maintain such humility, it is truly extraordinary. Mid the crowd of guests at the grand ceremony, 3 figures clad in white robes quietly commented, their voices low but insightful. Unlike the surrounding fervent or uneasy crowd, their gazes remained calm and observant as they studied Jiang Chengxuan. Soon, the next segment of the heavenly immortal grand ceremony began, the presentation of tribute. Immortal sects from all corners of the immortal domain surged onto the stage in succession, each bearing gifts and delivering congratulatory remarks to Jiang Chengxuan. The Nanaming Immortal Sect presents a portion of the primal heavenly spring. May your excellency enjoy boundless fortune and ascend to the pinnacle of immortality. The Xianxia Immortal Sect presents a box of golden star crystals. May your excellency enjoy unmatched martial prowess and invincible might. The Wamping Immortal Sect presents a 5-element immortal stone. May the alliance of rogue cultivators thrive with unmatched heroes and lead the Western continent. Under the gaze of countless cultivators, representatives of various immortal sects from across the immortal domain stepped forward one after another to present their treasures. Their voices echoed across the stage. Each gift was appraised by the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's elders, who handled reception. Jiang Chengxuan would nod to acknowledge the offerings, signaling his acceptance. If a particular treasure was of exceptional quality or rarity, he would engage the giver in brief conversation, thus forming a bond of goodwill. Those fortunate enough to converse with Jiang Chengxuan often felt deeply honored, bowing repeatedly and proudly explaining the origin of their treasures to everyone present. In such a grand setting, this recognition from Jiang Chengxuan earned them widespread envy, as the connection forged through a single gift might one day serve as a life-saving token. Look, the Wuhuan Immortal Sect managed to catch His Excellency's attention with their Wu Sun Immortal Bamboo. How enviable! Despite being a lower-ranked sect, they came prepared. It seems they're poised to rise rapidly. Is that the 5-element immortal stone? To offer such a treasure, Wamping Immortal Sect is truly sparing no expense. You don't understand. While the 5-element immortal stone is indeed valuable, it pales in comparison to the goodwill of a heavenly immortal. With the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's protection in the future, they won't lack access to even rarer treasures. Sai, it seems our gifts won't stand a chance. The treasures on that stage are all extraordinary. We've truly been like frogs at the bottom of a well, overestimating our own worth. Chapter 1505. The climax of the grand ceremony, 3 heavenly immortals /2. As more and more cultivators presented their tributes, the high platform became bathed in dazzling light. Immortal energy and ethereal mists surged continuously, with waves of incredible auras radiating from the treasures unveiled one after another. This left everyone present awestruck, their eyes filled with envy and amazement. For many, the treasures being offered were items they could never dream of obtaining in their lifetimes. Yet here, they were being presented as casually as stones poured from a basket, leaving them utterly overwhelmed. To gain Jiang Chengshuan's favor, the various immortal sects spared no effort in their offerings. The treasures they presented even made their rivals secretly gasp in awe, cursing them for their cunning. Throughout the gathering, discussions buzzed incessantly. Immortals stared unblinkingly at the treasures being unveiled, boasting to those around them about their knowledge and eliciting exclamations of amazement. Even Jiang Chengshuan, whose vision had already surpassed the mundane, found himself impressed by a few of the precious items. He exchanged pleasantries with the offering sects, forging bonds of goodwill. By the later stages of the ceremony, the tributes had piled up beside the platform into what resembled another towering stage. The boundless radiance of the treasures shot into the heavens, piercing through layers of clouds and illuminating the world. This added a legendary aura to the grand ceremony of the heavenly immortal. That day, nearly half of the treasures of the Xianxia immortal domain seemed to have appeared. The nerves of those present remained tense for days on end, with exclamations of awe echoing without cease. Suddenly, a voice broke the jubilant atmosphere. An envoy from the ancient realm presents the heavenly source immortal Jade as a tribute. Congratulations to Taoist Jiang on ascending to the heavenly immortal stage and transcending the immortal domain. The abrupt and unconventional tone left the entire gathering in stunned silence. In an instant, the crowd erupted into murmurs. All eyes turned toward the speaker in shock. The disciples and elders of the rogue cultivator alliance wore expressions of bewilderment, clearly at a loss. Taoist? Was this how Jiang Chengshuan, now regarded as an exalted heavenly immortal, was being addressed? Who would dare to be so presumptuous, addressing him as a mere peer to curry favor? This single statement caused waves in the hearts of all present. While Jiang Chengshuan was known for his calm demeanor, he was still a revered heavenly immortal. Addressing him casually was an audacious act. Many believed that the speaker would surely face consequences, watching with a mix of shock and schadenfreude. The culprits, three figures dressed in white robes, a wizened elder, a youth, and a middle-aged man. Holding an exquisite jade box, they approached Jiang Chengshuan with calm expressions, utterly unperturbed. Their audacious behavior drew gasps from the crowd. Are these three mad, acting so recklessly? Do they even have a background to support such insolence before a heavenly immortal? I predict their sect will be wiped out by the rogue cultivator alliance for this. The elder in charge of accepting tributes for the rogue cultivator alliance was visibly displeased. He rebuked the trio sharply. Mind your manners. Tributes are not to be handed directly to the heavenly exalted. With that, he activated his cultivation, reaching out to seize the jade box from their hands. But what happened next left the audience even more astonished. Despite the elder's repeated attempts to snatch the box, the trio remained motionless, as if separated by an impenetrable void. No matter how hard the elder tried, drenched in sweat, he couldn't get close to them. Even more baffling was that the trio didn't reveal even the slightest hint of their aura. Their calm and casual demeanor only heightened the sense of mystery and dread. This extraordinary scene convinced the onlookers of one thing: these three were far from ordinary. Jiang Chengshuan, too, felt an unusual unease. His gaze met theirs in the void, and he immediately recognized their uniqueness. Their presence seamlessly merged with the natural laws of the world. Even with his heavenly immortal perception, Jiang Chengshuan couldn't discern their depths. This could mean only one thing: these three individuals were equals, perhaps even fellow heavenly immortals. Jiang Chengshuan had long considered such possibilities. During his ascension to the heavenly immortal realm, he had sensed anomalies in the world, perceiving a hollow vastness. Upon breaking through, he became acutely aware of a limitation in the immortal domain, as if it imposed an invisible ceiling, hinting at transcendence. This was deeply illogical. After all, while heavenly immortals were powerful, they were not unprecedented. Throughout history, there had been realms beyond, the profound immortals and golden immortals. If the immortal domain's limit was only the heavenly immortal level, why had others advanced beyond it? Where had those ancient heavenly immortals gone? What had become of the profound and golden immortals? These were questions Jiang Chengshuan had pondered long and hard, believing them to conceal hidden truths. Now, the three before him seemed to embody the answers. Allow me. Breaking the silence, Jiang Chengxuan dismissed the elder and approached the trio. This unprecedented act shocked everyone, who could not comprehend why Jiang Chengxuan was treating these strangers with such respect. The trio simply stood, unyielding yet calm, holding the jade box. "Welcome, honored guests. Thank you for your gift," Jiang Chengxuan said, extending his hand toward the box. The youth holding the box smiled faintly, but made no move. Buzz. As Jiang Chengxuan's hand neared the box, an extraordinary vibration erupted. For a brief moment, he felt as though countless layered dimensions had materialized between him and the box. Without hesitation, he activated his mastery over spatial laws. Since ascending to the heavenly immortal realm, he had fully comprehended these principles, surpassing all predecessors. With this power, he unraveled the dimensional barriers, bridging the once insurmountable gap in an instant. "Many thanks, fellow Taoists," Jiang Chengxuan said, retrieving the box and bowing slightly. "You're welcome," the elder among the trio replied casually, stroking his white beard. This brief exchange revealed everything. These three were undoubtedly heavenly immortals. The realization sent shockwaves through the ranks of the earthly immortal elders, who were stunned into silence. Three new heavenly immortals appearing all at once, the implications defied comprehension. Meanwhile, ordinary cultivators failed to grasp the significance, dismissing the trio's success as mere luck and Jiang Chengxuan's leniency. "Shall we discuss this after the ceremony?" the youth asked Jiang Chengxuan softly. "Indeed, I'll trouble you to wait a little longer," Jiang Chengxuan replied. With that, the grand ceremony continued. Chapter 1506, Mysteries of the Ancient Realm, Emergence of Profound Immortals /1. After the unusual interlude with the three mysterious visitors, the heavenly immortal grand ceremony continued, igniting the fervor of countless cultivators and drawing the attention of the entire Xianxia immortal domain. Following the departure of the trio, one treasure after another continued to be presented, flooding the stage with dazzling radiance. The waves of astonishment among the audience surged endlessly. The Xianxia River Immortal Sect's grounds, where the event was held, became saturated with the aura of immortal treasures. The immortal light and treasure energy lasted for a full 81 days, shaking the entire immortal domain. Not until Jiang Chengxuan personally met and acknowledged every cultivator presenting a tribute did the grand event gradually reach its conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony concludes here. Having endured countless hardships, the Xianxia immortal domain's immortal path will surely ascend to new heights. May the immortal path and immortal arts continue to flourish in your hands, revitalizing our traditions. With Jiang Chengxuan's impassioned declaration, thunderous applause erupted across the venue. Countless cultivators, their eyes alight with passion, cheered and roared, sending forth the final flames of celebration for the grand event. As the crowd watched, Jiang Chengxuan waved to them before vanishing into the void. Above the heavens, the immense tree that had stood vigil over the ceremony emitted its final glow, illuminating paths of departure for all. Streams of spiritual light scattered like snowflakes, creating a divine spectacle. Numerous auspicious beasts raised their voices in song, their cries resonating like phoenixes returning to their nests. Their trails left behind streaks of resplendent immortal light before they disappeared beyond the stage. The disciples and elders of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance bowed deeply, signaling the event's conclusion. In return, the attendees also bowed before departing, murmuring their farewells with reluctance. For many, this heavenly immortal grand ceremony would become the centerpiece of their stories in the years to come. It was likely the closest they would ever come to the realm of heavenly immortals. After all, the next heavenly immortal grand ceremony would be tens of millions of years away, and by then, their descendants would number countless generations, while they themselves would have long since passed. This grand event had brought countless cultivators closer to the peak of the immortal domain than they had ever been. Within the ceremony, regardless of rank or sect, even the revered Earth immortal ancestors stood on equal footing with ordinary cultivators. Thanks to Jiang Chengxuan's demeanor, the distinction between Earth immortals and regular cultivators blurred, revealing the frailty of all in the presence of greater power. Soon, streams of cultivators stepped onto the paths created by the giant tree, disappearing one by one into the distant skies. The immense sea of attendees began to disperse, each returning to their respective corners of the immortal domain, discussing the grand ceremony along the way. Jiang Chengxuan's name, carried by the memories of countless cultivators, would inevitably be immortalized in the annals of history, etched in bold and indelible strokes. The Tower of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Within the Rogue Cultivator Alliance's branch headquarters stood a towering structure, majestic and solemn. Built after the Alliance took control of the Xianxia River Immortal sect, the tower symbolized the Alliance's current strength, towering into the clouds and dominating the land. Thank you all for waiting. At the apex of this grand tower, within its most opulent chamber, Jiang Chengxuan's figure stepped out from the void, as if emerging from a dream into reality. Before him, seated casually in a hall paved with crimson immortal wood, were the three figures in white cloaks. Upon seeing Jiang Chengxuan, they nodded, their expressions still scrutinizing. Jiang Chengxuan was not offended, as he was observing them just as intently. Their sudden and enigmatic appearance carried with it secrets that Jiang Chengxuan was eager to uncover. The curiosity between the two parties was mutual. "May I know how to address you three?" Jiang Chengxuan asked calmly as he took a seat on the opposite side of the Jade table. The youngest among them responded with a faint smile, introducing them one by one. "I am Ao Yue. This elder here can be addressed as Elder Wrong, and that one there is Su Bai." As Ao Yue spoke, he gestured toward the elderly man and the figure who resembled a child. Both nodded politely in acknowledgement. "I am Jiang Chengxuan," he replied, though he knew they were already aware of his identity. Without waiting for further pleasantries, Jiang Chengxuan cut straight to the point. "All three of you are of the heavenly immortal realm, each undoubtedly figures who have stood at the pinnacle of an era. Forgive my ignorance, but why have I never heard of you in the Xianxia immortal domain?" Hearing this, the trio's casual demeanor shifted to one of seriousness. Elder Wrong chuckled lightly before answering. "What you truly wish to ask is where we came from, correct?" He sighed, a trace of lament in his eyes. "It seems the lineage of the Xianxia immortal domain has been severely disrupted in this generation. Even we didn't expect such a complete break in its legacy. Many secrets that should have been passed down through generations have been lost in this era." Elder Wrong paused, glancing at Jiang Chengxuan with a hint of appreciation before continuing. "For you to break through to the heavenly immortal realm under such circumstances is no small feat. You are truly a remarkable talent." He then added with a faint smile, "We've no intention of hiding the truth. As we mentioned during the ceremony, we come from the ancient realm." The ancient realm. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes narrowed. Chapter 1507, Mysteries of the Ancient Realm, Emergence of Profound Immortals /2. Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan murmured in surprise, his brows furrowed slightly before he asked, "I have searched for information, but within the Xianxia immortal domain, I've never heard of anything called the ancient realm. Could you explain in detail?" "Patience, I will explain everything clearly," Elder Wrong replied with calm assurance. He sipped his immortal tea before continuing to unravel the mysteries for Jiang Chengxuan. Their purpose in coming to the Xianxia immortal domain was solely to address these questions. As the first heavenly immortal to emerge in millions of years, Jiang Chengxuan was of particular importance, and they had deliberately attended the heavenly immortal grand ceremony to deliver this information to him. After breaking through to the heavenly immortal stage, did you sense the limitations and constraints of this world? Did it feel as though, despite its vastness, the Xianxia immortal domain had many gaps and hollows? This question struck a chord with Jiang Chengxuan, and he nodded repeatedly. It aligned perfectly with his own suspicions. "To tell you the truth, the Xianxia immortal domain you dwell in is merely a shallow sea. Do you understand?" The phrase shallow sea reverberated in Jiang Chengxuan's mind, sending ripples of realization through him. In an instant, it was as though countless questions were answered. The mysteries that had puzzled him for so long suddenly became clear. "So the ancient realm is the deep sea, the true immortal domain, is that correct?" His eyes shone with understanding as he posed the question to the trio. Elder Wrong smiled approvingly, though he also shook his head. "Yes and no," he replied. "The ancient realm and the immortal domain were once one and the same. However, as more and more powerful beings arose, their actions, each capable of overturning mountains and seas, became akin to bringing calamity upon the world. In such a scenario, ordinary beings struggled to survive. Thus, at a certain point in time, the great powers of the realm united to split the immortal domain into two, the upper clear realm and the lower turbid realm. They established a rule: No one from the ancient realm may descend lightly to the immortal domain, lest the balance be disrupted. This separation allowed the immortal domain to flourish and endure for countless eons. Elder Rong's words were spoken casually, but within Jiang Chengxuan's heart, they created a massive wave of shock. In his mind's eye, he seemed to witness an ancient era filled with towering figures whose presence spanned the cosmos. In their battles, their slightest gestures shattered mountains, tore the sky asunder, and unleashed endless chaos and calamity upon the immortal domain. To ordinary beings, this chaos was an apocalypse, an unstoppable annihilation. With the number of great powers increasing over time, the separation of the realms became inevitable. The boundary was drawn at the heavenly immortal level, a clear demarcation between the two worlds. So this was the answer all along. Jiang Chengxuan felt as though he were reliving that ancient era, witnessing the great powers dividing the realms with unfathomable techniques. The sheer magnitude of such an act was beyond comprehension. For the first time, Jiang Chengxuan felt a profound respect for the vastness of the Tao and the legacy of immortality. He had subdued numerous earth immortal ancestors upon reaching the heavenly immortal realm, yet he had never grown complacent, always aware of lingering mysteries. Now, those mysteries had been resolved. The ancient great powers had not disappeared, they still existed in the world. It was merely that ordinary immortals, himself included, lacked even the qualification to glimpse their existence. The trio observed Jiang Chengxuan's astonished expression with understanding. They had experienced a similar revelation themselves and knew the impact it had on a cultivator's mindset. Breaking through to the heavenly immortal stage only to learn it was merely the threshold to a greater world would inevitably cause turmoil. Even they, who had sensed this reality earlier, required time to stabilize their Tao hearts when the truth was revealed. Ancient realm, how can one enter it? Jiang Chengxuan eventually asked, his gaze burning with determination. Far from feeling discouraged, he was filled with resolve. He had always known that realms beyond the heavenly immortal existed, such as profound immortals and golden immortals. He had even glimpsed the remnants of profound immortal power, a mere fragment capable of creating a treasure land and suppressing an entire race. Having ascended from the lower realm step by step, Jiang Chengxuan's vision had always been broader than most. Even among the geniuses of the immortal domain, his aspirations soared higher. The trio exchanged glances, surprised by how quickly Jiang Chengxuan had regained his composure. Silently, they acknowledged his extraordinary potential. "That is one of the reasons we came," Yue replied. "Here is a technique, study it carefully. Once you have fully comprehended it, you will be able to open the gateway to the ancient realm. However," he added with a grave expression, "remember this. While entering the ancient realm is easy, returning is exceedingly difficult. Only those with special privileges like us can freely traverse between the two." His words carried an implicit warning, which Jiang Chengxuan understood immediately. The ancient realm's rules were immutable, and crossing its boundaries was not something a heavenly immortal could achieve lightly. Then what about non-heavenly immortals? Can they enter the ancient realm? Jiang Chengxuan asked, thinking of his beloved Shen Ruyan. The question didn't surprise the trio. They answered without hesitation. They can. A heavenly immortal may bring their close companions. However, the ancient realm is fraught with dangers, and one must carefully consider the risks. Subai, the youngest among them, spoke coldly, his gaze sharp. Bringing ordinary cultivators to the ancient realm often does more harm than good. Jiang Chengxuan nodded in understanding. He had no intention of bringing the entire rogue cultivator alliance into the ancient realm. He merely wished to ensure Shen Ruyan's safety. As the conversation deepened, Jiang Chengxuan learned more about the ancient realm from the trio. They answered his questions openly, fulfilling their mission of imparting knowledge. With Jiang Chengxuan's breakthrough, they had been allowed to descend to the immortal domain, an event they saw as a rare and pleasant opportunity. They planned to linger in the immortal domain for a while, before returning to the ancient realm. Recently, the Xuanming immortal domain may face some turbulence. You must. Boom! Before Elder Rong could finish, a deafening explosion echoed across the immortal domain. The heavens split apart, and a blinding light illuminated the shattered skies. The sheer power of the force sent chills through all four individuals in the room. It was a presence that surpassed even their combined strength. Profound immortal. Yue, Elder Rong, and Su Bai exchanged shocked glances, their exclamations betraying their loss of composure. Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan involuntarily drew a sharp breath, his heart pounding. Chapter 1508, Swift Arrival, Swift Departure /1. The sudden eruption of power that shook the entire Xunaming immortal domain was beyond the heavenly immortal realm, utterly foreign to this world. Even Jiang Chengxuan and the other three could not help but feel a deep sense of dread. Without hesitation, they summoned all their strength and, like arrows loosed from a bowstring, shot out from the towering headquarters of the rogue Cultivator Alliance. Across the Xunaming immortal domain, cultivators were already in a panic, staring fearfully at the sky. Though they could not comprehend the exact nature of this force, its sheer magnitude overwhelmed them. Even from thousands of miles away, the oppressive aura made it hard to breathe, a terrifying and unfathomable phenomenon. Many had just left the heavenly immortal grand ceremony and were on their way home. Witnessing this unprecedented anomaly, they were struck with overwhelming terror and despair. The heavens are collapsing. What's happening? Is this the end of the world? The immortal domain feels like it's about to shatter. Are we all doomed? The panic spread like wildfire as countless cultivators gazed at the sky in horror, their minds teetering on the brink of collapse. High above, Jiang Chengxuan and the trio of heavenly immortals stood in stunned silence, their expressions grim. Before them, the entire sky of the Xunaming immortal domain appeared to cave inward. The heavens arched downwards in a massive concave formation, resembling an enormous eye staring into the world. At the lowest point of this distortion, an intense aura burned with unimaginable heat, reducing the landscape below to molten lava. Billowing black smoke rose into the sky, obscuring the heavens above. Jiang Chengxuan and his companions instinctively drew sharp breaths. While their own powers could influence the immortal domain, they could never achieve such a feat, treating the entire world as if it were pliable clay to be molded at will. It was clear to all of them, this was the power of a profound immortal. How can this be? Jiang Chengxuan turned to Ao Yue and the others, his voice tinged with disbelief. Didn't you say that profound immortals are bound by rules forbidding them from entering the Xunaming immortal domain? Ao Yue and the others wore equally grave expressions. After a moment of hesitation, Ao Yue replied, "For beings of such power, there are always ways to break through barriers." His tone betrayed his uncertainty. Even as profound immortals themselves, they could only offer vague explanations. The presence of this force defied the laws and restrictions that had governed the realms for eons. "This must be the turbulence the rules warned us about," said Subai coldly, completing the thought they had been about to share earlier. Before descending to the Xunaming immortal domain, their organization had warned them of potential unrest during their mission. They had planned to alert Jiang Chengxuan, but before they could finish, the disaster had already unfolded before their eyes. "What should we do now?" Jiang Chengxuan asked urgently, his focus shifting back to the horrifying scene. The heavens sagged lower under the immense pressure, threatening to collapse entirely. His heart was heavy. The path of immortality was never tranquil. He had just begun to unravel the secrets of the ancient realm, and now the appearance of a profound immortal threatened to upend everything, possibly even destroy the immortal domain itself. Without the knowledge imparted by Ao Yue and the others, Jiang Chengxuan would have been left utterly bewildered by this phenomenon, much like the countless cultivators now watching in terrified confusion. The gathered masses could only describe the aura as more terrifying than the energy of the great calamity. They understood only that even the slightest contact with this power would mean certain death. "We can only wait and act as the situation develops," Ao Yue said grimly, his gaze locked on the anomaly. With a wave of his hand, he summoned his celestial weapon, adopting a battle-ready stance. Two crescent-shaped blades, taller than a person, appeared in his hands. They radiated a flawless silver glow, cold and pure. Slowly, a suit of armor materialized around him, forged from moonlight. Its ethereal blue-hued form shimmered with the brilliance of cosmic starlight. Elder Rong and Subai followed suit, their auras surging. One summoned a small shield emanating chaotic energy, while the other wielded a crystalline staff imbued with the power of heavenly light, effortlessly tearing through the void. Jiang Chengxuan's heart sank as he sensed the extraordinary nature of their weapons. These were no ordinary artifacts, they were all Earth immortal-level treasures. It was the first time he had seen such powerful celestial weapons outside of his own primordial water-fire sword. This display affirmed the overwhelming depth of the ancient realm's resources, far surpassing those of the Xunaming immortal domain. We must be ready to intervene if an opportunity arises, Elder Rong said, his usually kind expression now replaced with steely resolve. His eyes glimmered with a mysterious purple light. The rules of the ancient realm are still in effect. Even a profound immortal cannot act without consequences. Despite their duty to protect, the trio clearly had no intention of recklessly sacrificing themselves. They would act within reason, but self-preservation was paramount. Boom, boom. The deafening roars continued to erupt, reverberating across the heavens and earth like the wrathful cries of gods. The endless thunderclaps shook the immortal domain, filling all who heard them with dread. Countless cultivators stood motionless, staring skyward. They could do nothing but wait. Was this the end of the world, or would salvation come? They could not flee and resolved instead to witness the events unfold, even if it meant facing their demise. Immortal cities and sects across the domain activated their protective arrays, their defensive lights piercing the sky in a desperate attempt to shield themselves from the unimaginable power. Chapter 1509, Swift Arrival, Swift Departure /2. Transforming into a vast canopy, it shielded the mountain gate. In the immortal domain, hemispherical barriers radiated mystical phenomena, appearing extraordinarily radiant and mysterious. Connected together, they resembled a galaxy of splendor, illuminating the entire Xianxia immortal domain as if it were daytime. However, this brilliance did little to calm the souls within, as a concave force in the void continued to gather strength, growing ever more terrifying. It collided and chafed against an intangible presence, sparking dreadful heavenly lightning and earthly fire that stained the area crimson, resembling an enormous blood-red eye overlooking the Xianxia immortal domain. Under the violent transformations, Jiang Chengxuan and the three from the ancient realm tensed, beads of sweat forming on their foreheads. Facing such world-ending power, the pressure on them was overwhelming. If this continues, the heavens might truly be torn asunder. As they waited endlessly for an opportune moment, Rong Lao spoke with a heavy heart, his eyes filled with helplessness. Wielding a crystalline bamboo rod, he summoned a massive pillar of heavenly energy, which manifested in the void and thrust toward the concave force. Boom! But it was immediately countered by the power from the depression, shattering the heavenly pillar into fragments. The fragments, tainted by heavenly lightning and earthly fire, burned across the void for tens of thousands of miles. Even Rong Lao himself had to step back, his aura slightly unsteady. Clearly, his probing strike demonstrated the dire consequences of acting rashly, leaving everyone else to hold their breath and refrain from impulsive actions. Buzz! At a certain moment, the long-awaited turning point finally arrived. A blinding celestial river emerged from beyond the heavens, cascading into the immortal domain. This, too, was a presence so awe-inspiring that it defied comprehension. What is that? Something else has arrived, and it's terrifying. It seems to be a power from beyond this realm. I've never heard of such a thing. Its appearance instantly caused a stir across the Xianxia immortal domain, leaving countless cultivators in shock. Before they could observe further, the dazzling celestial light descended upon the immortal domain, overturning the heavenly canopy and rendering the sight unviewable. Some attempted to use their immortal energy to shield their eyes, but were instantly blinded, blood streaming from their sockets as they screamed in agony. Only Jiang Chengxuan and the three from the ancient realm could see it clearly. The cosmic light poured from the heavens and fell onto the concave area, birthing an unimaginably fearsome chaos force that disrupted the fabric of that space. Heavenly lightning, earthly fire, the collapsing heavenly canopy, and the counteracting power from the ancient realm, all dissolved into an indescribable scene that constantly twisted and expanded. The rules governing this chaos were so scrambled that even Jiang Chengxuan and the others could not decipher what transformations the celestial light and the immortal force had wrought. After what seemed like an eternity, the two interwoven forces, seemingly exhausted, began to subside. What they left behind exploded into countless fragments that shot out across the Xianxia immortal domain. This unforeseen development left Jiang Chengxuan and the others stunned. They only managed fleeting glimpses of traces flashing through the void before they vanished entirely. Who? Witnessing the surreal events finally conclude, Jiang Chengxuan exhaled deeply. In his line of sight, the terrifyingly concave area of the heavenly canopy had miraculously restored itself, as if nothing had ever happened. Only the devastation on the ground silently testified to the events. After the storm, the immortal domain's cultivators erupted in discussion about the terrifying day they had miraculously survived. Some were overjoyed at their unexpected salvation, while rumors and debates spread like wildfire. I heard it was immortal Lord Jiang who stopped the catastrophe that day. I saw him stand in the void, confronting destruction. Nonsense. It was a peerless treasure that emerged, only to be taken by a terrifying entity from beyond our realm. Or maybe it was a fortune nurtured in our immortal domain all along. You're all wrong. I saw the treasure shattered by external forces. Its fragments have scattered throughout the Xianxia immortal domain. Mark my words. When I find one, I'll ascend to the heavens in a single leap. Ridiculous, keep dreaming. You've clearly been scared out of your wits. Theories abounded. Some claimed Jiang Chengxuan had once again saved the immortal domain. Others whispered that an unspeakable entity beyond their realm was using their world to nurture treasures, an idea that sent chills down spines. To vent their terror, many people clung to their own beliefs, with arguments escalating into outright brawls in some places. Even within the rogue cultivator alliance, speculation ran rampant. However, the truth was finally revealed to Jiang Chengxuan a few days later. In the grand tower within a lavish chamber, Jiang Chengxuan convened with the three from the ancient realm. Wasting no time, he asked. "My three friends, have you discovered anything? What exactly happened that day?" Eager to learn about the unknown forces, Jiang Chengxuan was curious despite having witnessed the entire upheaval. Beyond knowing that a supreme immortal had acted, he was utterly puzzled. Rong Lao, without holding back, began. "Yes, there's news from the ancient realm." Taking his seat, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "That day, a great figure from the ancient realm tried to break through to our domain. As for their intent, we do not yet know." Hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan, though unsurprised, couldn't help but feel a slight chill. It seemed that even the ancient realm trio were not high enough in rank to learn the deeper truths. However, he maintained a calm facade and asked plainly, "And who suppressed that immortal? What became of them?" Rong Lao nodded and explained everything he knew. That immortal's bold actions caught the attention of one of our higher-ups in the ancient realm, who activated certain arrangements left behind long ago to suppress them. This revelation astonished Jiang Chengxuan. Arrangements left behind. Did that mean there were still many such setups from the ancient realm in the Xianxia immortal domain? Or could it be that these three had other hidden agendas beyond delivering their invitation to the ancient realm? Countless thoughts raced through his mind. Still, he gained some confidence in the safety of the Xianxia immortal domain. Though ancient realm figures were powerful, they were not easily capable of breaching this domain at will. That day, after the immortal was suppressed, fragments of their power might have scattered across the Xianxia immortal domain. This could lead to chaos, so you must remain vigilant. As he spoke, Rong Lao's gaze sharpened, offering a serious warning. Jiang Chengxuan's expression grew heavy as he responded, astonished. "Fragments of an immortal's power, scattered across the Xianxia immortal domain. Do you have any way to locate them?" This unexpected news was shocking, leaving him uncertain whether it was a blessing or a curse. "Alas, there is no method. The means of an immortal are hard to unravel. It will take time to find them," Rong Lao sighed. "Because of this, we cannot stay in the Xianxia immortal domain for long and must return to the ancient realm soon." Both Ao Yue and Su Bai appeared equally displeased. They had hoped to linger in the immortal domain, but circumstances dictated otherwise. Their next visit to the Xianxia immortal domain might be a long time away. While the ancient realm was remarkable, living there for extended periods could be stifling, and the immortal domain offered a connection to their roots and bloodlines. Chapter 15:10, Ascension of the Immortal Treasure, Meaning of the Primordial Chaos /1. Though they were celestial immortals, once they stepped into the ancient realm, they would become ordinary cultivators, no longer enjoying the ease they had in the Xianxia immortal domain, constantly facing competition. The ancient realm, while also home to ordinary immortals, was primarily populated by clans of those above the celestial immortal level. These descendants were proud by nature, and, regardless of their cultivation level, often showed little respect for celestial immortals like them. This was one of the many inconveniences of life in the ancient realm, not nearly as ideal as one might imagine. Thus, if they could spend more time relaxing in the Xianxia immortal domain, the three of them, Ao Yue, Rong Lao, and Su Bai, would have been pleased. Unfortunately, the current situation made it impossible to linger. Ah, what a pity. I haven't even had the chance to properly host you, Jiang Chengxuan sighed after a moment of silence, his tone tinged with regret. Regardless of the purpose behind Ao Yue and the others' visit to the Xuanming immortal domain, Jiang Chengxuan could sense no malice in their intentions. Moreover, they were a valuable channel of information about the ancient realm. Losing them so hastily was indeed a shame. Try to ensure that the immortal's relic does not fall into the wrong hands, Rong Lao advised solemnly before leaving. And be cautious. There may be those from the ancient realm who meddle here. They are not without means to influence the Xuanming immortal domain. The deep concern in his eyes underscored the weight of his warning. As Jiang Chengxuan watched their figures vanish into the distance, his heart grew heavy. The power of the ancient realm. The warning made Jiang Chengxuan think deeply. The ancient realm harbored too many mysteries. What kind of influence they might exert remained unknown to him. It could be hidden mechanisms like the one that suppressed the immortal attempting to breach the boundary, or the arrival of individuals from the ancient realm itself. Both possibilities posed significant threats. After all, he had only recently broken through to the celestial immortal stage. Compared to the foundation of the ancient realm, his own strength was likely insignificant. Previously, when facing that immortal, Ao Yue and the others had each activated treasures of the Earth immortal level. This was Jiang Chengxuan's only direct experience of the combat power of ancient realm individuals, and it was already extraordinary. By his estimation, the ancient realm likely harbored countless opportunities and treasures unseen in the Xuanming immortal domain. If so, the strength of those who came from the ancient realm would be extraordinary. I must focus on improving my own strength. Jiang Chengxuan murmured to himself as he stood by the window, gazing out at the layers of radiant clouds, shifting mists, and gathering winds above the 9 heavens. No matter the circumstances, enhancing his own power was the only way to face any challenge. Though he had obtained a means to enter the ancient realm, Jiang Chengxuan did not plan to venture there immediately. The conduct of Ao Yue and the others made him feel that the ancient realm was not as wonderful as it seemed, at least not for those without sufficient strength. At the very least, he needed the power to defeat other celestial immortals before considering a venture into the ancient realm. That was Jiang Chengxuan's current resolve. Ding! As he was lost in thought, a long-awaited sound echoed in his mind, cold and indifferent, yet it ignited a spark of excitement in Jiang Chengxuan's heart. Congratulations, host. Achievement unlocked. Breakthrough to the celestial immortal realm. Reward, Immortal Treasure Ascension Talisman. It was the system, dormant for a time, now reactivated as if attuned to Jiang Chengxuan's thoughts. In the immortal domain, breaking through each realm was an arduous process. As a result, the system's presence had diminished over time, yet every time it acted, it was astonishing. The previous reward had been a calamity weapon, and now it was an immortal treasure ascension talisman. Listening to the mechanical voice, Jiang Chengxuan could not help but feel a surge of joy and awe. Buzz! In a mystical ripple, celestial light appeared out of thin air, exuding an immense aura. A talisman shimmering with hazy primordial energy gradually materialized, floating before Jiang Chengxuan. Unable to contain his excitement, he reached out to grasp the talisman. Even as a newly ascended celestial immortal, he could not fathom the system's origins or the source of its capabilities. This mystery left him secretly awed and contemplative. Perhaps the system's origins were even older than the ancient realm or the immortal domain itself. But there was no need to dwell on it. Jiang Chengxuan was certain that the system was absolutely harmless to him. Setting aside his concerns, Jiang Chengxuan's figure flickered as he left the tower and arrived at a treasured location. This place was a stone-steel forest, with rows of towering monoliths standing 4 to 5 zhang tall. They radiated a mystical aura and were once a sacred site of the Ming immortal sect. The area brimmed with immense primordial energy, and the steels exuded a mysterious presence seemingly from beyond this realm. According to legend, these steels had existed for millions of years, having fallen here from the outer realms. Over time, they absorbed the spiritual essence of the Xuanming immortal domain and were naturally engraved with intricate runes. The inscriptions were indecipherable, but their power provided a steady stream of primordial energy, even carrying traces of foreign laws that awed those who encountered them. The Ming, immortal sex patriarch, had once used this place to establish his sect as a dominant force in the immortal domain. However, his talent had proven insufficient to fully exploit the site, and he ultimately decayed without further breakthroughs. Today, the Ming, immortal sect had been subdued by Jiang Chengxuan, and this location had become part of the rogue cultivator alliance, serving as Jiang Chengxuan's temporary retreat for closed-door cultivation. Who? Taking a deep breath, Jiang Chengxuan found a platform and sat down cross-legged. His first task was not to use the immortal treasure ascension talisman directly. Chapter 15:11, Ascension of the Immortal Treasure, Meaning of the Primordial Chaos /2. Instead of using the immortal treasure ascension talisman immediately, Jiang Chengxuan chose first to delve into the method for entering the ancient realm. As strands of celestial light surrounded him, he silently chanted mantras, his hands tracing intricate patterns in the void. Each stroke caused ripples in the space, while an inexplicable, mystical aura permeated the surroundings, infusing the area with otherworldly energy. The method was not overly complex, yet it carried a profound simplicity and an ancient gravitas. The deeper he delved, the more the mysterious force seemed to seep into his consciousness. Jiang Chengxuan, sensing the strangeness of this power, did not let his guard down. He activated his own celestial domain, which manifested as a pale vortex hovering above his head. Though Ao Yue and the others had shown no malice, Jiang Chengxuan wasn't about to take any risks. Thankfully, as he completed the intricate patterns, no unusual phenomena occurred. Only then did he exhale in relief. In the midst of the misty stone steel forest, suffused with celestial source energy, Jiang Chengxuan observed the twisted patterns etched in the void around him. They coalesced into a rune that radiated an ancient and overwhelming might, brimming with latent power. Even probing with his celestial domain yielded no insights into its mysteries. This rune is incomplete, merely a fragment, Jiang Chengxuan murmured, his gaze sharp and filled with astonishment. The method to enter the ancient realm was but a fragment of a colossal rune, akin to a key. Its full form and power were beyond imagination. The fragment alone required the strength of a celestial immortal to activate, as it needed celestial source energy to open the gateway to the ancient realm. Now Jiang Chengxuan was certain that Ao Yue and the others had spoken truthfully. Their information was accurate. He could sense faint spatial laws embedded in the rune, indicating that activating it would open a path to a specific location. However, he had no intention of doing so at the moment. If I could comprehend the power behind this method, I would be invincible, Jiang Chengxuan mused, reluctantly ceasing his attempts to decipher the rune. Despite using numerous methods, he could make no progress. Ultimately, he set it aside. A mere fragment of this rune was clearly beyond the reach of even a celestial immortal's strength. With this method, I have a failsafe. If anything happens, I can escape to the ancient realm instantly. No one would be able to stop me, he muttered as he stored the rune away. This was precisely why, despite not planning to venture into the ancient realm, he prioritized understanding the method. The warnings from Ao Yue and the others had heightened his sense of crisis. The method allowed for a one-way passage to the ancient realm, and no one other than the caster could follow. It was an excellent escape tool. If cornered, Jiang Chengxuan could use it to flee to the ancient realm, evading any pursuit and surviving a life-threatening situation. This could be particularly useful against intruders from the ancient realm. Anyone sneaking into the Xianxia immortal domain would be wary of ancient realm spies and unlikely to act recklessly. After all, as Rong Lao had mentioned, those who trespassed the boundaries faced severe punishment. For now, I need to focus on increasing my strength. That is the most important thing, Jiang Chengxuan resolved. And as for the immortal's relic, I can't let it remain unchecked. Setting his thoughts aside, Jiang Chengxuan resumed his seated position in the steel forest. He activated his cultivation technique and retrieved the immortal treasure ascension talisman from his storage ring. The talisman still shimmered with hazy celestial light. At the same time, his celestial domain trembled, and two streams of immortal light emerged from within, one pitch black and profound, the other a vibrant mix of crimson and blue. The black calamity weapon and the primordial water and fire sword swiftly flew to his left and right, radiating immense auras that filled the steel forest. One side of the forest was engulfed in dark mist, turbulent and oppressive, while the other side glowed crimson and blue, serene yet boundless. Both treasures floated before him, yet Jiang Chengxuan hesitated. Which should he choose to ascend? Logically, the calamity weapon was more powerful, but it came with numerous restrictions and an air of mystery that left its post-ascension state uncertain. After all, it was a weapon crafted by an ancient supreme being, making its changes unpredictable. After much deliberation, Jiang Chengxuan decided to focus on the primordial water and fire sword. Holding the sword in one hand and the ascension talisman in the other, he said to himself, "The calamity weapon might ascend naturally in the future during a calamity. For now, I'll elevate the primordial water and fire sword. What I need now is reliable combat power, not hidden cards." He activated his celestial domain, and a pale vortex spun endlessly behind him. A torrent of celestial source energy surged into the ascension talisman. In an instant, a dazzling brilliance erupted, illuminating the entire steel forest and piercing the heavens. Boom! With a deafening roar, the ascension talisman shattered and fused into the primordial water and fire sword. The streams of crimson and blue light coiled together, transforming into two celestial rivers that inundated the forest, creating a radiant domain of red and blue hues. What's happening now? Is the sky changing again? My heart can't take this anymore. Please, no more disasters. The phenomenon sent shockwaves through the nearby rogue cultivator alliance, with countless disciples and elders voicing their amazement and anxiety. Fortunately, Shen Ruyan quickly intervened, recognizing the aura of the primordial water and fire sword. Her calm voice echoed throughout the sect. "There's no need for concern. This is the aura of Lord Jiang. Focus on your cultivation and pay it no mind." Reassured, the disciples and elders turned their attention to the spectacle, speculating about Jiang Chengxuan's advancements. Amidst the dazzling display, their guesses were correct. As the ascension talisman fully merged with the primordial water and fire sword, an intense streak of violet light appeared at the intersection of water and fire. This violet light exuded a terrifying aura of destruction, transcending the celestial immortal level and carrying traces of celestial source energy. For a moment, the violet brilliance expanded, bathing the rogue cultivator alliance in its glow. It evoked visions of the universe's creation and collapse, leaving those who witnessed it breathless. Could it be the primordial intent? Jiang Chengxuan gasped in awe. He recalled ancient texts describing this violet energy as embodying the power of creation and destruction, chaos and order. It was a fragment of the primal forces that shaped countless realms. Though the current manifestation was incomplete, its significance was undeniable. Jiang Chengxuan was elated to discover that the ascension of the primordial water and fire sword had unexpectedly unlocked this potential. When the radiant phenomenon finally subsided, the primordial water and fire sword had completed its transformation. Now it retained its original form, its streams of water and fire entwined like serpents, but its blade had lengthened significantly. In the spaces between the intertwining flows, faint traces of violet light shimmered. "It has ascended directly to the celestial immortal level," Jiang Chengxuan exclaimed, clutching the transformed sword with delight. He had only expected it to reach the pseudo-celestial immortal level, never imagining such a surprise. Chapter 15:12, The Thousand Radiant Secret Realm, Gathering of Powers /1. The newly ascended primordial water and fire sword radiated an unparalleled power that even Jiang Chengxuan found awe-inspiring. Its sharpness and might were such that even celestial immortals would have to retreat in its presence. "Looks like you need a new name now," Jiang Chengxuan mused with great interest, his eyes gleaming as he stood amidst the misty, radiant stone steels. The ascension of the primordial water and fire sword had greatly bolstered his confidence, even easing his concerns about the ancient realm. He believed that, with its current strength, the sword could suppress most threats, even from unknown entities of the ancient realm. "From now on, I'll call you the primordial chaos sword," he murmured softly. Clearly pleased with the new name, he nodded with satisfaction. The sword itself seemed to resonate with the name, its celestial glow rippling as though in agreement. With a contented smile, Jiang Chengxuan stored the primordial chaos sword within his celestial domain and transformed into a streak of light, departing the steel forest. His departure did not go unnoticed. Many disciples of the rogue cultivator alliance saw him, their astonishment fueling widespread chatter. Only after some time did the commotion within the alliance subside. Several days later, atop an immortal peak belonging to the rogue cultivator alliance, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan sat in a finely crafted pavilion. Scarlet maple leaves swayed in the radiant light of the setting sun. A gentle breeze carried wisps of immortal mist across the mountain, creating an ethereal atmosphere. The intricately adorned pavilion housed a simple tea table, where the two sipped steaming tea imbued with the essence of the Tao. They appeared like celestial beings, clad in flowing robes, their presence exuding a transcendent aura that harmonized with the sacred mountain, subtly emanating a sense of profound truth. So, it's possible that figures like the three you described from the ancient realm have infiltrated the Xianxia immortal domain, lying in wait to seize the relic of the immortal, Shen Ruyan asked. Her delicate hand poured more tea with graceful precision, her voice calm and thoughtful. Over the past few days, Jiang Chengxuan had sought her out during his rare moments of leisure. Together, they discussed the aftermath of the immortal's failed breach. Shen Ruyan had not been present during the incident and thus was unaware of the events. Only now, after Jiang Chengxuan recounted everything, did she fully grasp the situation. The enigmatic ancient realm, its hidden celestial immortals, their arrangements in the Xianxia immortal domain, and the relic left behind by the immortal, all left her astonished and intrigued. Her awe, however, quickly gave way to caution as she contemplated the unknown dangers. Yes, it's a possibility. Caution is necessary, Jiang Chengxuan replied, lifting his teacup to sip the Tao-infused brew. As for the immortal's relic, I've already sent people to investigate. We've uncovered some clues. The primordial chaos sword had given Jiang Chengxuan the confidence to begin retrieving the relics left behind. They were undoubtedly treasures of immense value, given their origin. With your abilities, as long as we remain vigilant against the ancient realm, retrieving those relics should be straightforward, Shen Ruyan said as she moved to sit beside him, her elegant robes trailing lightly behind her. Together, they gazed from the peak's edge, overlooking the vast Xianxia immortal domain. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes glimmered with resolve. In the northern reaches of the Xianxia immortal domain, the city of Thousand Radiance was bustling with activity, its streets packed to capacity. From the sprawling avenues to the many inns and taverns, cultivators filled every corner. Hey, are you here for the secret realm too? Ha, look who's here. What's someone from the eastern continent doing in the western continent? Oh, stop pretending. Everyone knows why you're here. That rumored secret realm from beyond the heavens has drawn people from all over the immortal domain, who wouldn't want a chance at its treasures. In the crowded city, chance meetings between cultivators often revealed the reason for the influx. The source of the commotion lay 3,000 miles from Thousand Radiant City, where, days prior, a mysterious phenomenon had enveloped the heavens and earth, exuding an awe-inspiring aura. The anomaly had shaken the local sects and immortals of Thousand Radiant City. Even after joining forces to breach the secret realm, they had been repelled. It was said that even ancestors at the pinnacle of their power had failed to gain entry. The secret realm's allure, however, could not be concealed. As word spread, cultivators from across the Xianxia immortal domain flocked to Thousand Radiant City, filling the metropolis in a matter of days. Do you know? That secret realm is said to have descended from the heavens and is connected to the day the sky collapsed. HMPH, if you don't want to throw your life away, stay out of this. Who are you trying to scare? Look at the crowd. Even sect ancestors are secretly preparing to join the fray. What's there to fear? We don't aim for the greatest fortune. Just picking up some minor gains would be enough for us. The streets buzzed with a constant flow of rumors, both true and false, shaking the hearts of many cultivators. Amid the chaos, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan stood on a quiet pavilion overlooking the throngs in Thousand Radiant City. Both wore plain black robes and had altered their appearances, masking their auras to avoid unwanted attention. These precautions were taken to guard against the possible presence of ancient realm infiltrators. Chapter 15:13, The Thousand Radiant Secret Realm, Gathering of Powers /2. Though Jiang Chengxuan possessed the strength to fight if necessary, he preferred to avoid confrontation in situations where his enemies remained hidden while he was exposed. Beloved, this secret realm seems to have drawn quite the crowd, Shen Ruyan remarked telepathically, watching the throng of cultivators flowing through the streets. The secret realm that had emerged near Thousand Radiant City was connected to the traces of the immortal's relic that Jiang Chengxuan had been investigating. However, its sudden appearance had already spread throughout the immortal domain, drawing widespread attention. It's no matter. The secret realm itself wasn't left behind by the immortal. It was merely activated by the relic falling into it, Jiang Chengxuan explained, having pieced together the truth. As he had suspected, The secret realm had always existed but lay dormant for countless years. Only when the immortal's relic fell into it was its latent power awakened, revealing itself to the world. The influx of cultivators actually worked to Jiang Chengxuan's advantage. In such chaos, he could blend in and search for the relic undetected. After all, no one knew exactly what the immortal's relic looked like. Though he could dominate the secret realm with brute force and drive out all competitors, such an act would harm his reputation and the standing of the rogue cultivator alliance. It would also draw unwanted attention from potential infiltrators from the ancient realm. Should he act too boldly, he risked alerting hidden enemies who might seize the opportunity to steal the prize, leaving him at a loss. The celestial calamity sect is here. Step aside or suffer the consequences. A booming voice echoed through Thousand Radiant City, causing chaos among the crowd. A dense black mist rolled in, heralding the arrival of a massive celestial chariot. Pulled by three pitch-black, rhino-like beasts, the chariot rumbled through the streets, sending waves of fear and panic through the onlookers. "Damn it, it's those maniacs again. SHH, keep your voice down, do you want to die?" Though many cultivators were outraged by the sect's arrogance, they had no choice but to retreat, begrudgingly clearing a path for the chariot and its monstrous escorts. The Celestial Calamity Sect. The name made Jiang Chengxuan frown as memories resurfaced. Years ago, during his search for the five-element celestial essence in the northern region, he had encountered members of this sect in the Insect Valley. Back then, he had killed several of their elders to protect his old acquaintances, Redridge Venerable and her junior sister, who had been hunted and humiliated by the sect. Even the Fengtian immortal sect had been destroyed by their hands. To see the sect still rampant and domineering in the northern region, after all this time, left a bitter taste in Jiang Chengxuan's mouth. There are two Earth immortals on that chariot. It seems the Celestial Calamity sect is determined to claim the secret realm, Shen Ruyan observed, her voice cool and steady as her eyes followed the chariot. Jiang Chengxuan replied calmly, "Their power is indeed strange, imbued with an aura of calamity. I've always wondered about its origins. Now, I suspect they might also be part of some ancient realm arrangement." With his understanding deepened, Jiang Chengxuan now believed the sect's rise was tied to the ancient realm. Their obscure cultivation methods, centered around cultivating calamity energy, were unlike anything he had ever encountered. "Look, isn't that the Celestial King sect? What a powerful aura. They brought so many people, even their holy son is among them. This secret realm must be extraordinary to attract such major powers. Look over there, that's the Tianju immortal sect from the eastern continent, even they've come all this way." The streets of Thousand Radiant City buzzed with excitement as sect after sect arrived, each exuding tremendous power. Following the Celestial Calamity sect's arrival, many other factions from the northern region and beyond descended upon the city, bringing their forces in full. Even Jiang Chengxuan was surprised to sense the familiar presence of Redridge Venerable among the crowd. She was no longer alone, she had gathered a group of allies. Jiang Chengxuan pondered for a moment before pointing a finger in her direction. A subtle, mystical energy shot forth, leaving an invisible mark on her and her group. This would allow him to provide assistance within the secret realm if needed. From their quiet pavilion, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan watched as one powerful sect after another entered the stage. Despite the grand display, Jiang Chengxuan sensed no other heavenly sovereigns among the gathered forces. A few days later, the light radiating from the secret realm reached its peak, signaling its opening. A torrent of celestial light erupted from the realm, mixing with an overwhelming aura. A multicolored storm tore through the skies, distorting space and causing turbulence that shook even Thousand Radiant City. The city's defensive array activated to withstand the pressure. Clearly, the presence of the Immortal's relic had elevated the secret realm to a higher level, creating incredible changes within. Quickly, the secret realm is opening. Celestial Calamity sect business, move or die. Out of our way or face the consequences. The moment the secret realm opened, every faction sprang into action. Their celestial carriages gleamed with radiant light, traversing the skies and spatial gateways. The heavens were filled with blazing trails of light, as black mist surged forward alongside fiery paths that scorched the skies. A sea of cultivators followed in their wake, transforming into streaks of light as they raced toward the secret realm. In an instant, Thousand Radiant City was emptied of people, leaving behind only residual celestial energy, and the echo of space-staring roars as figures disappeared into the secret realm. "We should go too," Jiang Chengxuan said, rising with Shen Ruyan. Without drawing attention, they blended into the crowd and entered the secret realm. The moment they passed through the boundary, Jiang Chengxuan sensed faint traces of the immortal's aura. Excitement flickered in his eyes. His suspicions were confirmed. An immortal relic was indeed within the secret realm. The spatial energy around them shifted, and as their vision cleared, they found themselves in a new world. They stood in a valley bathed in crimson radiance, with translucent red cliffs reflecting dazzling beams of light. The air shimmered with heat, exuding a strange, primordial energy. Buzz! Wasting no time, Jiang Chengxuan unleashed his divine sense, scanning the surrounding area. The power of a celestial immortal spread like a tidal wave, covering a vast swath of the secret realm in an instant. The overwhelming aura startled many of the realm's native beasts, their roars reverberating across the land. The sudden eruption of violent energy left many newly arrived cultivators shaken and on edge. So fierce, the beasts in this realm are terrifying. Barely inside and already facing such hostility, this place is no joke. As the roars subsided, the cultivators cautiously began their exploration. "Nothing yet," Jiang Chengxuan muttered, opening his eyes with a slight frown. His divine sense had not located the relic. "This secret realm has grown extraordinary under the influence of the immortal's relic. Perhaps many treasures have been born here," he remarked with a faint smile. Chapter 15:14. Contest in the Secret Realm, the Manifestation of the Celestial Treasure /1. Jiang Chengxuan exuded unshakable confidence in his ability to claim the immortal's relic. Even with the potential interference from the ancient realm, he did not believe he would fail. Such a treasure was undoubtedly extraordinary, and it was folly to think it could be claimed without significant effort. Even if its exact location remained undiscovered for the moment, others would find it equally difficult to seize. "Let's see if there are any celestial herbs or materials nearby. We shouldn't let opportunities go to waste," Jiang Chengxuan said casually, showing no anxiety as he and Shen Ruyan leisurely explored the secret realm. Unlike the chaos consuming the other forces, the two kept their presence concealed, taking their time to traverse the realm at a relaxed pace. Elsewhere, battles erupted across the secret realm the moment the forces entered. In one area, a divine spring glittered like a mirror, surrounded by luminescent butterflies formed of flowing light. The spring itself exuded an extraordinary aura, reflecting the heavens and earth within its surface. "This divine spring belongs to the Grand Bank Immortal sect. Do you dare try to steal it?" "HMPH, I left my mark here long ago. Who says you were here first? If you want to live, leave now. Spare yourselves from ruin." "Die, how dare you?" Arguments quickly escalated into violence. Waves of celestial energy clashed, creating deafening explosions as the skies darkened and mountains fractured under the onslaught. The secret realm, filled with tens of thousands of cultivators, quickly became a battlefield. Within moments, beams of celestial light and storms of power erupted across the land. In valleys, forests, and rivers, intense conflicts broke out as combatants vied for treasures. Manifestations of the Tao appeared, blotting out the sky. The influence of the immortal's relic had elevated the secret realm, awakening many dormant treasures and causing withered lands to flourish once more. Every cultivator was awestruck, seeing the realm as a goldmine of opportunities. Finally drove off those greedy wolves. This pure spring is said to be a supreme celestial treasure. It will add greatly to the foundation of the Grand Bank Immortal sect. "Wait, where's the spring? Why is there so little left?" In many places, victorious cultivators who had fought bitterly to claim treasures discovered, to their shock, that their prizes had vanished or had been significantly diminished. Some treasures were reduced to mere scraps, while others had disappeared entirely. Frustration turned to despair as cries of anger and confusion echoed throughout the realm. Unbeknownst to them, not far from each scene of chaos, two figures could be seen leaving quietly. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan strolled leisurely, the stolen treasures in their hands gleaming as they shared amused glances. The duo, reluctant to reveal their identities or draw attention, had adopted an unconventional strategy, looting the treasures of others under the cover of the secret realm's chaos. With their overwhelming strength as celestial immortals, they moved undetected, plucking treasures like picking fruits from a tree. Their actions created an uproar in the secret realm. Stories of mysterious forces stealing treasures spread rapidly, unsettling even the most seasoned cultivators. You've experienced it too. It's like we've been haunted, treasures disappearing without a trace. Yes, we even set up formations to catch a glimpse of whatever was behind it, but we saw nothing. Not even Earth, immortal ancestors, could pull off something like this. It must be some bizarre power within the secret realm, beyond our comprehension. You'd best count your losses and avoid provoking whatever it is. You might not even know how you died. The strange occurrences became a taboo topic. Many sects, despite losing their treasures to Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, dared not speak openly of their frustrations. Some even attributed their losses to divine intervention, believing it to be a sign of forthcoming fortune, and went so far as to offer thanks. Yang Chengxuan could only shake his head in amusement at these reactions. As the competition intensified, however, this matter gradually faded from memory. Attention shifted to the rare and extraordinary treasures appearing throughout the realm, sparking frenzied battles. Even the Celestial Calamity sect and other top-tier factions joined the fray, ruthlessly suppressing others in their quest for supremacy. Earth immortal ancestors clashed, shaking the realm with their titanic power. The secret realm descended into chaos, with waves of cultivators flooding in from the outside. The once pristine land was now overrun like a field of locusts. So many days and still no sign of it, Jiang Chengxuan muttered, standing atop a towering celestial tree and gazing over the tumultuous secret realm below. He bit into a celestial fruit, its juice fragrant and sweet, savoring its flavor even as his thoughts lingered on his search. Nearly 100 days had passed since the secret realm opened. By now, over 80% of the realm had been explored. Yet despite his vigilance, Jiang Chengxuan had not found the immortal's relic. Chapter 15:15. Contest in the Secret Realm, the manifestation of the celestial treasure /2. Despite not locating the immortal's relic, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan had filled their storage rings to capacity, looting countless treasures from other sects. While many of these items held little personal value to Jiang Chengxuan, they were priceless for enriching the foundation of the rogue cultivator alliance. For Shen Ruyan, some of these treasures were still highly useful for crafting weapons, refining pills, or creating talismans, making them rare and invaluable materials. Beloved, I've been observing the movements of the most powerful sects, but they haven't shown any signs of activity. It seems the immortal's relic remains well hidden, Shen Ruyan remarked softly beside Jiang Chengxuan, her white robes flowing gracefully as she adjusted a thin veil covering her face. Even concealed, her celestial beauty shone through. Neither the Celestial Calamity sect, the Heavenly King sect, nor the Tianju sect, each hiding Earth immortals among their ranks, had made any significant moves. This suggested that the immortal's relic had yet to reveal itself. Otherwise, these factions would have already acted. Indeed, there's no need to rush. Patience is key, Jiang Chengxuan replied, his calm gaze revealing his confidence in the unfolding situation. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, a series of resonant bell chimes rang out from the void, shaking the entirety of the 1,000-radiant secret realm. The sound was like a divine drumbeat, striking the hearts of every cultivator and leaving them trembling. The profound toll of the bell signaled the emergence of a treasure, one of unimaginable power, far surpassing anything previously seen in the secret realm. It's here. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes brightened as he turned toward the source of the disturbance. His gaze pierced through the barriers of space, locking onto the treasure's location. Far in the distance, a vast lake mirrored the multicolored clouds above. The surface of the lake trembled violently, as if raindrops were pounding on a drum. Water columns surged skyward, dancing like dragons, while the reflected radiance twisted and shimmered in an otherworldly display. What's happening? Such a massive phenomenon. This aura, it's unbelievable. Even the secret realm is quaking. A treasure of unimaginable power is about to appear. Even Earth's immortal ancestors won't be able to resist this allure. The grand phenomenon left everyone in the secret realm stunned, their attention fixed on the distant spectacle. The treasure's aura spread across hundreds of miles, visible even to those thousands of miles away. Its sheer magnificence stirred both fear and excitement in all who witnessed it. Without hesitation, the sects and factions erupted into action. They unleashed their full strength, each vying to be the first to reach the treasure. Even Earth's immortal ancestors, normally reserved, revealed their fervent desires as they led their disciples in a mad rush toward the lake. The skies above the secret realm lit up with countless streaks of light, celestial chariots, towering puppets, and colossal beasts all hurtling toward the treasure. The scene resembled a celestial battlefield, the air thick with tension and greed. Get out of my way. Such arrogance prepare to be punished. As the most powerful sects converged, tempers flared and restraint was abandoned. Clashes broke out almost immediately. While they had previously maintained civility to preserve their strength, the treasure's emergence shattered any semblance of cooperation. Heavenly King overturning seal. Dragon Elephant Supreme Manifestation. In an instant, the Earth Immortal ancestors of the Heavenly King sect and Tianju sect unleashed their might. One summoned a radiant celestial seal, while the other conjured a massive dragon elephant phantom. The two powers collided in a cataclysmic display, tearing through the sky and shaking the earth. Their respective domains materialized, one a golden land filled with grand temples, the other a realm of towering peaks forming the Heavenly King's divine image. The clash of their energies unleashed thunderous destruction, sending shockwaves rippling across the battlefield. Weaker cultivators attempting to approach were thrown back by the residual force. Some, overestimating their strength, were torn apart in the aftermath. This treasure is beyond us, let's retreat. This is no place for us, we'll die if we get involved. The overwhelming power of the Earth Immortals forced the majority of cultivators to halt, their ambitions dashed. Over 90% of those present lacked the strength to even approach. The Celestial Calamity sect claims this treasure. Anyone who values their life should leave. The Earth Immortal of the Celestial Calamity sect entered the fray, shrouded in dense black calamity mist. His sudden, domineering arrival forced even the Heavenly King sect and Tianju sect ancestors to pause. Let's see if you have the power to take it. Your arrogance ends here. In an unexpected turn, the two sects joined forces. With a coordinated roar, they unleashed the full power of their domains, targeting the Celestial Calamity sect's elder. Caught off guard, the elder found himself besieged. His black mist transformed into a roaring abyss, but the combined might of his opponents forced him to retreat, blood dripping from his lips. You traitorous cowards, the elder roared, his eyes filled with fury as his enemies pressed their advantage, giving him no chance to recover. Serves the Celestial Calamity sect right. Let those madmen taste some of their own medicine. Many cultivators watching from the sidelines cheered quietly. The sect's notoriety had made them numerous enemies, and their downfall was a moment of schadenfreude for many. Among the crowd, a group of cultivators clad in crimson robes stood out. Their eyes gleamed with killing intent as they watched the remaining members of the Celestial Calamity sect from the shadows. This group, led by Redridge Immortal, had a clear goal: to disrupt and destroy the Celestial Calamity sect at every opportunity. Over the years, they had systematically hunted down sect members in a bloody campaign of vengeance. Today was no exception. With their forces prepared, they were ready to strike amidst the chaos. However, Redridge Immortal was unaware that hidden among the Celestial Calamity sect's ranks was another Earth Immortal, watching with predatory focus. Chapter 15-16. The plot of the Immortal Tribulation sect, Shen Ruyan takes action. Prepare to strike. In the void, the brilliant spectacle of the mysterious treasure shimmered, layer upon layer, stirring up towering waves. The chaos was still raging, with Earth Immortals clashing fiercely, triggering all kinds of anomalies that tore open vast swathes of darkness across the heavens and earth. The terrifying battle cast a tense atmosphere over the entire area. Amidst the crowd of onlookers, the Immortal of Red Ridge's eyes were as calm as still water. Concealing his presence using a secret technique, he condensed his immortal energy without unleashing it. He transmitted a silent message to the group behind him. At the end of his gaze was none other than the treasure carriage of the Immortal Tribulation sect, which had lost its Earth Immortal guardian, along with several elders and elite disciples of the sect. At this moment, everyone's attention was focused on the three Earth Immortals battling in the sky. The world-destroying aftershocks of their combat had shrouded everything else in chaos. It was the perfect moment for them to make their move, an opportunity that came only once in 1,000 years. Understood. Behind the Immortal of Red Ridge, many figures cloaked in red robes silently responded. Just like him, they had their sights locked on the Immortal Tribulation sect's party, with deep-seated hatred glinting in their eyes. The rise of the Immortal Tribulation sect in the northern continent was built on the destruction of countless immortal sects. Even some factions with Earth Immortals had been wiped out by them. This was why the Immortal of Red Ridge was able to gather so many helpers. All of them were cultivators at the true immortal level or above. They were all battle-hardened elites who shared a common goal, the downfall of the immortal tribulation sect. It was, in essence, an anti-mortal tribulation sect alliance. Any opportunity to strike at the immortal tribulation sect would never be missed. Buzz. Their immortal robes fluttered as killing intent condensed with the force of their immortal energy. Bloodthirsty divine powers began to manifest, ready to be unleashed. Do not act rashly. The immortal tribulation sect still has an earth immortal within the group. But just as the immortal of Red Ridge and his companions were about to unleash their deadly assault, an eerie, untraceable voice suddenly echoed in their ears. It was so sudden that everyone was startled, their entire bodies turning cold as if plunged into an icy abyss. Who? Someone had noticed them and even transmitted a message directly to them. Was there really an earth immortal hiding within the immortal tribulation sect's ranks? In an instant, this revelation overwhelmed the minds of the immortal of Red Ridge and his comrades. They immediately stopped the circulation of their divine abilities, withdrawing their auras and canceling their attack plans. Who is it? The immortal of Red Ridge growled quietly. He exchanged glances with his companions, eyes filled with doubt and vigilance. They glanced around, trying to find the source of the voice. The power displayed by the unknown voice filled them with unease. If the person who spoke was hostile, they would have already been captured or killed. Don't panic, I'm not here to harm you. You'll know whether I'm telling the truth soon enough. The mysterious voice echoed in their ears again, calm but compelling. Hearing this, the immortal of Red Ridge and his group gradually calmed down. Their eyes flickered with silent exchanges of glances. After a moment, they all nodded and reconcealed their presence. Regardless of the situation, the voice didn't seem to be targeting them. If it were, they would have already been subdued. The one behind this voice was none other than Xianxia. At this moment, he stood on the other side of the battlefield, his gaze fixed on the figures of the immortal of Red Ridge and his party. When he had first arrived at this site, he had not taken action right away. Instead, he observed everything carefully. He knew that such a grand treasure could not be claimed so easily. Through observation, he saw through the intentions of the immortal of Red Ridge and his companions. Realizing that they would inevitably encounter the hidden earth immortal within the immortal tribulation sect's ranks, Jiang Chengxuan decided to issue a warning. He did not reveal himself, fearing that he would be noticed by mysterious figures from the ancient world. Instead, he conveyed his message using the technique of void sound transmission. Look, the old man from the immortal tribulation sect is about to lose. Haha, how satisfying. The next moment, the battle within the anomalies grew more intense. The old man from the immortal tribulation sect was continuously forced back. His aura grew unstable, and the black mist protecting him was torn apart. This scene filled the hearts of the onlooking cultivators from the northern continent with joy. Their voices echoed with excitement. Silence, insects. But at that very moment, something shocking and unexpected happened. A hoarse voice sounded from within the crowd, followed by an eruption of pitch-black light streaking across the sky. In an instant, it exploded with terrifying killing intent. The two cultivators who had been mocking the immortal tribulation sect were swept into the light. Their pained screams echoed across the field. What just happened? Everyone watching gasped, their faces pale with shock. The crowd fell silent. Even the immortal of Red Ridge and his group, hidden among the crowd, had cold sweat dripping down their backs. A moment later, two pitch-black corpses, lifeless and cold, fell from the sky with a thud. The sound of the impact reverberated like a thunderclap in the hearts of the nearby cultivators, causing them to retreat in fear. The figure that emerged from the black fog was none other than the second Earth Immortal Elder of the Immortal Tribulation sect. Foolish ants. He glanced coldly at the terrified faces of the onlookers, snorted disdainfully, and then turned around. With a flick of his sleeve, he leapt into the battle raging in the skies. Damn it, the Black Demon Elder is here too. None of you will be leaving here alive today. At that moment, a terrifying surge of tribulation energy swept across the skies like a violent storm, engulfing the radiance of the heavens. The world plunged into darkness. In the midst of the storm, the voices of two other Earth Immortals, the Heavenly King Lord and the Heavenly Bamboo Lord, echoed in horror. The sound of their cries was followed by a deafening roar of thunder that shook the world. Pitch-black lightning split the sky, wreaking havoc as it descended with unrestrained fury. Without a doubt, the immortal tribulation sect had carefully planned this moment, turning their schemes against the two sects battling them. Chapter 15:17. The plot of the immortal tribulation sect, Shenruyan takes action, Part 2. Two Earth immortals had arrived from the immortal tribulation sect, but one of them remained hidden as a trump card. Now, at a crucial moment, he struck, acting as the Oriole behind the mantis, instantly reversing the situation. Great immortal tribulation palm. In the blink of an eye, within the depths of the darkness, winds and clouds surged violently. Yang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan both witnessed the concealed Earth immortal elder of the immortal tribulation sect take action. He harnessed a strange power of primordial origin, manifesting it as a colossal ghostly claw that blotted out the sky, crashing down to suppress both the heavenly King Lord and the heavenly Bamboo Lord. Wherever the claw passed, it ripped apart sinister cracks in space, and the fog of calamity surged like a tidal wave. Caught off guard, the heavenly King Lord and the heavenly Bamboo Lord hastily tried to summon the power of their blessed lands to resist. But before they could activate their defenses, they heard the cold sneer of the old immortal tribulation sect elder. He followed up with another divine technique, unleashing a torrent of deadly force that surged forth in an instant. With one attacking from the front and the other from the rear, the sudden assault from the two Earth immortals immediately plunged the two lords into a perilous predicament. Boom, boom, boom. Before they had time to react, several terrifying forces collided with a deafening roar. The entire night sky quaked, and countless streaks of lightning flashed, illuminating the darkness. Bolts of lightning fell from the sky, striking the ground below, instantly killing several unlucky cultivators who couldn't dodge in time. They're going to lose. Amidst the chaos, Shen Ruyan, her red lips hidden behind a light veil, calmly spoke. Only Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan could see the full picture of what had happened. In the nick of time, the heavenly King Lord and the heavenly Bamboo Lord managed to activate life-saving techniques to escape the crushing grasp of the fog of calamity. However, both were still severely injured. Large quantities of immortal blood spilled from their bodies, igniting like divine flames in the darkness and bathing the area in a holy glow. Buzz! At that moment, a deep chime like the strike of a great bronze bell echoed from the heavens. The resounding vibration of the bell created 9 colored sound waves that surged through the sky, parting the darkness and clearing a pure, sacred space. Light returned to the world. Countless onlookers raised their heads, their gazes shifting back and forth, unsure where to focus. High above in the sky, immortal blood burned like a blazing sun as the heavenly King Lord and the heavenly Bamboo Lord fled in disgrace. At the same time, a mysterious treasure emerged in the air, its radiance causing the two Earth immortal elders of the immortal tribulation sect to cease their pursuit. All eyes turned to the source of the glow. There, at the end of the radiant light, floated an ethereal treasure shrouded in misty immortal light, a lotus-shaped ancient lamp. Its design was simple and unadorned, yet it exuded a boundless aura. As soon as it emerged, the entire battlefield changed. The thick fog of calamity that had engulfed the area was instantly dispelled. Even the oppressive power of the Earth immortals was suppressed, unable to get within a single inch of it. It was as if a world-shaking star had appeared, sending waves of Taoist essence rippling through heaven and earth. The aura it emitted was so mysterious and profound that everyone present felt their pores open wide, as if they had just consumed an immortal elixir. What is that treasure? It's truly extraordinary. Just looking at it makes me feel like my cultivation is improving. How terrifying. Sigh, but this treasure will probably. Many were in awe, some were terrified, and others were filled with anxiety. They feared that this precious treasure would end up in the hands of the hated immortal tribulation sect. Among them, the immortal of Red Ridge and his party grew anxious, their eyes burning with rage and desperation. They knew that if this item fell into the hands of the immortal tribulation sect, their chances of future revenge would grow even slimmer. Heavens above, please, don't let this immortal treasure fall into their hands. Someone silently prayed, glancing at the two immortal tribulation sect elders whose eyes blazed with greed. Their hearts were filled with helplessness and indignation. As if responding to the prayers of the crowd, just as the two elders of the immortal tribulation sect turned into streaks of black light and rushed toward the ancient lotus lamp, a bolt of thunder crashed down. A searing line of fire ripped through the void, separating them from the treasure. Boom! The power of this thunderclap was overwhelming. Even Earth immortals would not dare to underestimate it. The two elders were forced to halt in midair. Their eyes turned cold, filled with fury as they shouted, "Who, who dares to block the immortal tribulation sect's fortune? Are you tired of living? Show yourself, you worthless wretch." Their hoarse voices were filled with wrath. Their terrifying divine sense spread out in all directions, trying to locate the source of the attack. To their shock, a figure slowly descended from the sky. Clad in flowing white robes, she moved as gracefully as a celestial maiden. Her presence was ethereal, like an immortal being untouchable by mortal filth. Her beauty was beyond description, her figure divine and sacred. Although her face was hidden behind a veil, her bearing and elegance captivated the hearts of all present. Behind her, a faint outline of a blessed land flickered in and out of view. It was mysterious and unfathomable, emanating boundless energy. This figure was none other than Shen Ruyan. Yang Chengxuan had chosen not to reveal himself. He merely used the power of the heavenly source to shield Shen Ruyan's identity and allow his beloved to make her move. Given Shen Ruyan's recent enlightenment after the great battle with the Central State's elite, this was the perfect opportunity for her to further temper herself. This treasure is not something rats hiding in the dark can covet. Her words echoed through the skies like the decree of a divine judge. The statement sent shockwaves through the hearts of countless onlookers, causing them to gasp in disbelief. Who is she? She dares to mock two Earth immortals to their faces. The cultivators below were awestruck. Her boldness shook the so-called prideful prodigies of the various sects, causing them to doubt their own worth. "You, how dare you? No matter who you are, insulting the immortal tribulation sect is a death sentence." The taunts from Shen Ruyan instantly triggered the rage of the two elders. Their eyes burned with killing intent as they unleashed their fury. The two elders summoned their blessed lands, which materialized as vast black lands in the void. Cracks ran through the black earth, where eerie, twisted trees sprouted. From these trees, waves of calamity fog and black light poured forth, shattering the clouds and swallowing the sun and moon. Even though their rage boiled over, they maintained their caution. They knew that for this woman to act so boldly, she had to have something to rely on. They wielded immortal treasures, one holding a white bone staff and the other gripping a pitch-black soul flag. These treasures unleashed waves of origin power that filled the area with a suffocating fog of calamity. But at that moment, Shen Ruyan made her move. Behind her, a sea of nine-colored lightning surged forth, radiating like the dawn of creation. In an instant, this sea of lightning swept across the void, clashing with the fog of calamity. The collision ignited waves of fire, scattering bursts of light through the heavens. The sheer might of the force stunned the onlookers, and even caused the two Earth immortals to narrow their eyes. Boom, boom, boom. Shen Ruyan made a bold move. With divine thunder rumbling behind her, she stepped on a river of origin energy and charged at the two Earth immortals head-on. Her gaze radiated unwavering resolve. At that moment, the onlookers saw the impossible. A single woman alone, challenging two Earth immortals simultaneously, and she didn't falter. The sight left every immortal dumbfounded, unable to speak. Even the glow of the ancient treasure seemed to pale in comparison. Chapter 15:18, instantly killing two enemies and seizing the mysterious artifact. Amidst the boundless void, nine-colored thunderbolts roared and surged wildly. Shen Ruyan, draped in her profound robe, exuded an awe-inspiring brilliance that stunned the cultivators across the entire northern continent. For the first time, they had heard of such a formidable female sovereign in the Xianxia immortal domain, one who could single-handedly battle two veteran Earth immortal cultivators without showing the slightest sign of weakness. What's more, these two weren't ordinary foes. They were elders of the immortal tribulation sect, known for their mastery of bizarre cultivation methods that enabled them to control the power of calamity mist. Their reputation in the northern continent was ferocious, having defeated numerous enemies in the past. But now, as overbearing as they had always been, these two were drenched in sweat, their eyes bloodshot as they faced the overwhelming might of Shen Ruyan's primal divine thunder and life-death divine lightning. The pressure she exerted on them was enormous. Time and again, the collision of raw power resulted in reverberations that left their palms numb, and the immortal treasures in their hands were now entwined with traces of lightning energy. Lightning, one of the most ferocious primal laws of the universe, inherently suppressed evil and sinister forces. Not to mention that Shen Ruyan had cultivated her lightning to the peak, fusing countless divine thunders together. Her mastery even included the life-death Tao and the primal wind, which further magnified the might of her lightning. Every single strike she launched tore apart the void, causing an endless flood of radiant brilliance to pour out like a vast ocean. The dazzling light, akin to world-ending divine splendor, instantly suppressed the surrounding darkness. In less than 100 rounds of fierce combat, the two elders of the immortal tribulation sect had been reduced to a pitiful state. Their black robes were scorched and decaying from the divine lightning's might. Unable to counterattack, they could only hunker down and defend themselves in shame. Since they had embarked on the path of cultivation, never had they been so humiliated, especially being thrashed by a female cultivator. Their shock had long since turned into seething rage. Damn it, she's gone too far. Calamity erupts, devour the cosmos. Faced with the jeering and mocking gazes of countless onlookers, the two could no longer endure. Their withered faces twisted into expressions of feral rage as they squeezed together, bellowing in unison. Finally, they revealed their trump card. In that instant, a strange, unsettling sound echoed from the void, as though something was gnawing on an object. The noise seemed to emanate right next to the ears of everyone present, eerie and sinister. At once, the immortals who had been cheering for Shen Ruyan went silent. Their expressions shifted as they hastily retreated, muttering protective incantations while frantically channeling their mystic energy to suppress the strange sound. Moments later, darkness descended upon the heavens and earth. The once dazzling sea of nine-colored thunder dimmed, as countless black runic chains interwoven in the sky, piercing through the void and forming a colossal net that sought to trap and seal the lightning sea. Under this bizarre divine art, Shen Ruyan's delicate brows furrowed slightly. She could sense an intangible pressure pressing down on her, heavy and oppressive, slowing the flow of her immortal energy. What's worse, the power of this technique continued to spread, racing along the nine-colored sea of thunder and aiming to infiltrate her blessed land, the core of her strength, with the intent to utterly destroy it. Hiss, what a sinister divine art! It can even directly invade a cultivator's blessed land. What kind of twisted power is this? It's over. This is the combined strike technique of the immortal tribulation sect. It's said to have slain even Earth immortal sovereigns. This female sovereign is in grave danger. The crowd of immortals who had been watching from a distance outside the storm were thrown into turmoil. Whispers of dread filled the air as many old cultivators from the northern continent recognized the origin of the technique, clenching their fists with dismay. They could not bear to witness the fall of such a peerless female sovereign. This is bad. Those two old ghosts actually used that move. Among the spectators, the scarlet-robed cultivators surrounding the Crimson Ridge immortal let out startled cries, their eyes filled with terror. Many of them were familiar with this technique, as it was precisely this power that the immortal tribulation sect had used in the past to suppress their ancestral patriarch, annihilating their entire sect and forcing them into exile. Upon seeing this sinister art being used again, the scarlet-robed cultivators bit down hard, their eyes turning blood-red as if reliving that tragic day. Pathetic tricks. Only one man remained calm amid the chaos, Jiang Chengxuan, standing in a distant spot. His face remained indifferent, as if this display was beneath his notice. In the next moment, the pitch-black runic chains accelerated, reaching the edge of Shen Ruyan's blessed land with thunderous speed. The two immortal tribulation sect elders' faces contorted with excitement and killing intent, as if they could already see Shen Ruyan's blood spilling across the sky. However, what happened next left everyone's jaws agape, their eyes wide with disbelief. Boom! The runic chains collided with Shen Ruyan's blessed land, triggering a violent tremor and explosion. But the anticipated scene of calamity energy wreaking havoc and shattering the blessed land did not occur. Instead, from within the void came a low, resonating wang, a profound and ethereal hum. In that instant, the white mist that shrouded Shen Ruyan's blessed land swirled and rippled like waves upon a pond. Boom! A single beam of white light shot into the heavens, tearing through space. It flowed like a gentle breeze, clinging to the pitch-black runic chains and spreading along them. In a quiet yet shocking boom, pale white flames ignited, blazing along the runic chains as they linked up with countless threads of radiant white light, forming an endless chasm of celestial brilliance. The vast world was suddenly suffused with an ancient, boundless aura, as if an ancient primeval force had awakened. The sinister calamity mist was dispelled in an instant. The black runic chains were burned continuously by the pale flames, emitting the sound of candlewicks being consumed. The haunting noise caused onlookers to feel chills down their spines. Chapter 15:19. Instant kill of 2, seizing the mysterious treasure. No, no, this is impossible. My immortal tribulation power, how could this be? Next, the crowd watched in shock as they saw the tragic state of the 2 elders from the immortal tribulation sect. The pale flames spread rapidly, surging into their blessed land like a wildfire. The flames grew with unstoppable momentum, as ferocious as a tempest and as unyielding as a mountain, reaching an extreme intensity in an instant. A towering pillar of pale flames shot straight into the sky, piercing the 9 heavens. The peculiar blessed land transformed into a realm of pure white. All forces within, including the power of laws, immortal energy, and even the tribulation mist, were set ablaze. The excruciating pain engulfed the divine senses of the 2 immortal tribulation sect elders, forcing them to emit heart-wrenching howls. All of this, from their initial attack to being countered by the pale flames, happened in just a few breaths. They had no time to react as terror and agony twisted their consciousness, let alone think of retaliation. This power had completely surpassed their realm, treating them like mere ants and demonstrating true, unchallengeable majesty. In the blink of an eye, the 2 domineering elders, who had been rampaging in this domain, were devoured by the fierce flames. Their figures visibly shrank at a pace discernible to the naked eye. Their blessed land, too, shriveled under the relentless blaze, gradually turning into a desolate wasteland. Meanwhile, the flames in the sky only grew stronger, shining an eye-piercing white. An invisible pressure enveloped the hearts of everyone present, forcing its way into their minds. Within the blinding white light, the faint appearance of primordial runes could be seen flickering in and out of view. What, am I hallucinating? I blinked for a moment and missed everything. The 2 old ghosts from the immortal tribulation sect were just slain like that. What kind of technique was this? Terrifying? That woman is absolutely terrifying. Where did she come from? She's defying the heavens. The sudden twist left the gathered immortals utterly incredulous. Their jaws dropped in shock. In just a few breaths, 2 elders of the immortal tribulation sect were annihilated, not even ashes left behind. The scene was too surreal, as if it were all an illusion. Everyone was acutely aware of the terror these 2 elders represented. Their infamy as the twin calamities of the northern continent was well known. They had defeated countless earth immortals, including the renowned celestial king immortal lord and the heavens bamboo immortal lord. Even those who harbored grievances against them had to admit that the strength of the immortal tribulation sect was exceptional, far above the norm. Yet these 2 figures, after unleashing their mightiest divine abilities, were instantly slain. They had no chance to retaliate. This level of power was unheard of in the northern continent. HMPH seeking death. High in the sky, amidst a sea of pale flames and a 9-colored thundercloud, Shen Ruyan muttered coldly, her expression indifferent. If the 2 elders had fought her head-on, perhaps it would have taken some time to decide the victor. But since they dared to meddle with Jiang Chengxuan's protective force, they were courting death. Still, this battle wasn't without its rewards. Murmuring to herself, Shen Ruyan paid no attention to the shaken crowd. She turned around, her flowing robes billowing like a rainbow, and flew straight toward the mysterious immortal treasure. It was as if slaughtering 2 earth immortals was a trivial event that did not deserve further thought. Below the celestial phenomenon, the gathered cultivators finally awoke from their daze, their gazes heavy with seriousness. Some immortals' eyes flickered with indecision as they gazed at Shen Ruyan, calculating their next move. None of them could resist the allure of the mysterious immortal treasure. Beyond the celestial king immortal sect, heaven's bamboo immortal sect, and the immortal tribulation sect, many other hidden immortal sects lay in wait, each possessing the strength to confront earth immortals. They had intended to wait until the immortal tribulation sect and its opponents were both severely weakened before making their move to snatch the treasure. However, with the immortal tribulation sect's elders incinerated in an instant, their remains reduced to threads of pale flame lingering in the void, all prior strategies were upended. Shen Ruyan's terrifying display of power struck fear into their hearts. even causing some Earth immortals to feel a chill deep within their souls. How many times could Shen Ruyan use that technique? No one knew. But no one dared to gamble with their lives to find out. While they hesitated, Shen Ruyan's ethereal figure arrived in front of the ancient lotus lamp. Her snow-white hands, soft as clouds, reached out for it. Countless pairs of eyes instantly locked onto her, gazing at the lotus lamp with greater intensity than Shen Ruyan or Jiang Chengxuan. Their hearts pounded as they watched, more nervous than if they were reaching for the treasure themselves. Buzz, buzz. Shen Ruyan's delicate hands met no resistance as she grasped the lotus lamp. A hazy, mysterious brilliance immediately spread out, accompanied by bursts of profound Tao rhythms, covering the entire world. As the lotus lamp spun in Shen Ruyan's hands, beams of rainbow light danced in the air, forming a massive 9-colored lotus flower. The lotus blossomed and withered, each cycle shaking the void. Threads of heavenly essence trickled down from the 9 heavens, transforming into a misty haze that nourished all living things and brought peace to the world. In that moment, everyone present saw a verdant bodhi tree stretching out its branches and swaying in the wind. Beneath the shade of this bodhi tree, a great Buddha's silhouette sat in meditation, as if contemplating eternity. The unparalleled grandeur of this scene imprinted itself on their hearts, filling them with awe and suffocation. Even Jiang Chengxuan, with his current cultivation, could not fully resist its influence. But unlike the others, he was able to recover swiftly. As the crowd remained dazed, Jiang Chengxuan's figure moved like the wind, cutting through the myriad rays of divine light and taking Shen Ruyan's hand. The power of his personal domain surged forth, enveloping the lotus lamp in dense mist, obscuring everything from view. With a wave of his hand, he carved out a spatial passage. Together with Shen Ruyan, he stepped inside. By the time the crowd's eyes regained clarity, the divine glow above the great lake had already dimmed significantly. The lotus lamp and Shen Ruyan had both vanished without a trace. Sigh. The gathered immortals could only sigh in frustration, realizing that this treasure was beyond their reach. Even a few hidden earth immortals shook their heads, knowing they had no chance. Quick, get the lake water. It's been imbued with the essence of the treasure. Don't you dare snatch it from me, or I'll fight you. In an instant, many immortals leapt into action, vying for the lake water where the lotus lamp had floated. Another chaotic battle erupted. Meanwhile, in a distant forest beyond the Thousand Colors city, Shen Ruyan and Jiang Chengxuan appeared. They exchanged glances, each wearing a look of satisfaction. This mysterious immortal treasure is truly extraordinary. It's a good thing you were here, husband. Shen Ruyan's eyes were filled with joy as she spoke. She had almost succumbed to the lotus lamp's influence. Without Jiang Chengxuan's help, she might not have obtained the treasure. He, with my wife at my side, it's naturally an easy task, Jiang Chengxuan replied with a chuckle. Chapter 1520, Subduing the Mysterious Treasure, Bodhi Lotus Lantern. Obtaining the mysterious immortal treasure was far easier than expected. After exiting the Thousand Colors city's secret realm, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan did not leave immediately. Instead, they lay in wait outside the realm. It wasn't until they saw the Red Ridge Immortal and his group, drenched in blood, hurriedly leave the Thousand Colors city's secret realm that they finally set aside their worries and quietly returned to the city. At this time, many cultivators had not yet left the secret realm, but the city was still bustling with people wandering about, discussing the news coming from within the secret realm. Most of these people had come from afar after hearing the rumors, or had been forced out of the secret realm. They were heartbroken over missing their chance at fortune and kept a close watch on any updates. Hey, I heard that this time, the Immortal Tribulation sect defeated both the Celestial King Immortal sect and the Heavens Bamboo Immortal sect to seize the biggest treasure. How could this happen? The heavens must be blind to let those old ghosts wreak havoc on our northern continent's cultivation world. Don't even mention it. I also heard that the Archaic sect, a branch of the Immortal Tribulation sect, acquired a lot of treasures. Our sect has grievances with them, and I fear we'll face trouble in the future. They say the Thousand Colors city secret realm was influenced by some strange power, and treasures were everywhere, with spiritual auras surging into the sky. Missing out on such an enormous fortune feels like my heart's been stabbed. As they walked through the city, they overheard countless conversations about the secret realm, many of which were outdated rumors, far behind the current reality. Few days later, someone spotted the vast, multicolored clouds over 1,000 miles from thousand colors city beginning to dissipate. The overwhelming phenomenon gradually scattered into countless specks of light. Amidst excitement and exhilaration, the large group of explorers finally returned from the secret realm, flooding into the city and making it more crowded than ever. Although some of the immortal sects that obtained treasures returned directly to their sects, skipping Thousand Colors City, it did not stop the city from becoming packed to capacity. The air buzzed with joy, anger, sorrow, and excitement, as cultivators' emotions ran high. What, you're telling me the entire Immortal Tribulation sect team was wiped out? Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. On that day, as those two old ghosts from the Immortal Tribulation sect tried to seize the mysterious treasure, a peerless female sovereign appeared. With absolute terror, she directly slaughtered them. The scene was beyond imagination. That's right, we all saw it with our own eyes. When I left, I even saw the corpses of the Immortal Tribulation sect's team in one spot. It must have been someone ridding the northern continent of a great menace. It's truly satisfying. News of the incident involving the Immortal Tribulation sect spread rapidly, shaking every cultivator in the city. Whether it was the death of the Immortal Tribulation sect's members or the emergence of the mysterious female sovereign who defeated two adversaries at once, these topics stirred everyone's curiosity. Many onlookers who witnessed the battle vividly described it, spreading the story at lightning speed. It wasn't long before the entire city knew the details. Such an incredible event. Sigh, we missed it. That's such a loss. Just to have seen it from afar would have been worth it. This is great news. The Immortal Tribulation sect's comeuppance was long overdue. If that female sovereign would have us, we'd be more than willing to serve her as horses and oxen, and immediately storm the Immortal Tribulation sect. Many cultivators lamented their late arrival, furious at having missed the spectacle. Those with past grievances against the Immortal Tribulation sect celebrated openly, shouting in joy and drinking until they were drunk, ready to seize the sect's followers on sight. The celebratory scene left Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, the orchestrators of the event, feeling both amused and speechless. It seems we've done a good deed for the people this time, Jiang Chengxuan teased, making Shen Ruyan shake her head in resignation. Clearly, after all these years, the Immortal Tribulation sect's reputation in the northern continent had hit rock bottom. If we get the chance, we should eliminate them entirely. Although we don't have evidence, I'm highly suspicious that they're a secret pawn of the ancient realm's forces in the Xianxia immortal domain. As he spoke, Jiang Chengxuan's eyes twinkled with intrigue. He had never heard of a technique capable of controlling tribulation energy, and since he had never encountered it before, it was likely connected to the ancient realm. A few days later, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan returned to the Loose Cultivator Alliance. Inside Jiang Chengxuan's personal cave, he stood with his hands behind his back. With a wave of his hand, the pale world of his inner domain unfolded. The power of heavenly origin transformed into a membrane, enveloping the cave in isolation. Let's see what secrets this mysterious immortal treasure holds. His eyes flashed with eagerness. Mist swirled within his domain as a vortex opened, releasing a surge of breathtaking energy. This energy carried boundless vitality, manifesting rainbow lights that struck the cave's barriers, creating colorful ripples that shimmered throughout the space. Within the vast energy of heaven and earth, a dense power of abyssal origin spread out, and an ancient, rustic lotus lantern emerged. Even Jiang Chengxuan was momentarily entranced, his eyes gleaming with golden light. The mysterious immortal treasure was truly extraordinary. Since breaking through to the heavenly immortal realm, he had never experienced such vast heavenly origin energy. His pores opened in delight as his entire being absorbed the energy, his inner domain quivering as it soaked up the vitality. This isn't a treasure for attack or defense, but a supreme treasure for cultivation. Jiang Chengxuan's eyes lit up with joy as he saw through the nature of the mysterious immortal treasure. Though its aura was awe-inspiring, it carried no sharp or destructive energy. Clearly, it was not a weapon of slaughter. With an aura so vast and overflowing, there was no doubt this was a supreme treasure for cultivation. Chapter 15:21, Subduing the Xuan Treasure, the Bodhi Lotus Lamp 2. Otherwise, if it were a defensive immortal treasure, it would be more subtle and not display its power so dramatically. Husband, try to see if you can subdue it. At this moment, Shen Ruyan, wearing a feathered robe, said softly, her eyes flashing with excitement. Upon hearing this, Jiang Chengxuan did not hesitate and immediately activated his heaven realm. He began to make contact with the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp, using the power of heaven's source. Buzz! Immediately, the entire spacious cave was filled with radiant light, and a strong life force surged to its peak. It condensed into crystalline life matter, shaking the entire immortal mountain. The ancient Bodhi lotus lamp spun continuously, intertwining with Jiang Chengxuan's heaven source power. It released a vague consciousness, as if it was trying to recognize Jiang Chengxuan. He. During this process, Jiang Chengxuan felt the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp spinning faster and faster, its power growing more domineering, causing some discomfort in his body. In response, he narrowed his eyes and began to activate his heaven realm power frantically. He used the might of the heaven realm to suppress the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp and continued trying to merge with it, hoping to gain its recognition. This process was far more dangerous than expected. It seemed as though the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp had some form of awareness. Recognizing that Jiang Chengxuan was not its original master, it continued to test him, seeking a response. If its true master were here in the Xunaming immortal domain, they would immediately sense Jiang Chengxuan's actions. The treasure would activate on its own, without needing the master to act, and it could drain all of Jiang Chengxuan's strength. After all, this was a treasure from a celestial immortal, with power far surpassing Jiang Chengxuan's current cultivation. Fortunately, its true master was currently in the ancient world, unable to perceive anything. It was precisely because of this that Jiang Chengxuan dared to act and try to snatch the treasure. Even if you are a supreme treasure, you are only a tool to be controlled. Why can't I do it? I will. In the fierce struggle, Jiang Chengxuan felt his internal energy draining like a flowing stream. He was beginning to show signs of losing to the treasure's power. He could not help but reveal a sharp look in his eyes, speaking decisively in a low voice, as though communicating with the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp. In the next moment, Jiang Chengxuan stopped holding back. The forces of various Tao laws began to emerge from his body. The five elements Tao, the reincarnation Tao, the life and death Tao all surged forward, emitting dazzling light. At the same time, the hidden will of the entire Xunaming immortal domain was drawn by Jiang Chengxuan. It transformed into invisible pressure, which he used to suppress the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp. After breaking through to the celestial immortal realm, Jiang Chengxuan never imagined that his first full-power strike would be against a treasure. However, due to the treasure's extraordinariness, Jiang Chengxuan dared not underestimate it. He poured all his will into the struggle. For a time, with the help of the will of heaven and earth and the power of his heaven realm, the two forces clashed violently, struggling against each other in the cave, each trying to suppress the other. Beside them, Shen Ruyan had already furrowed her brows, her eyes filled with astonishment and concern. Although she had anticipated some difficulty, she hadn't expected the treasure to be this powerful, forcing her husband to exert all his effort. This meant that if they managed to seize the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp, they would have to be careful not to trigger its power. If it happened, all the cultivators present would likely be swept into its power, and the consequences would be disastrous. Primordial chaos Hengmeng's sword rise. Gradually, Jiang Chengxuan felt his meridians running dry, and an overwhelming fatigue surged in his heart. The ancient Bodhi lotus lamp slowed down considerably, as though it were sinking into a quagmire. Their battle had clearly reached a fever pitch. In the final moment, Jiang Chengxuan shouted inwardly, and a brilliant purple energy shot out from the depths of his heaven realm. It transformed into a streak of purple light that wrapped around the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp. This was, of course, the power of the primordial chaos Hengmeng's sword, and at this moment, it became the final straw that broke the camel's back. As the primordial chaos Hengmeng's sword gradually fused into the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp, the lamp finally came to a stop. In the void, it glowed with a faint purple light and gently swayed. The energy and aura that had been entangling Jiang Chengxuan finally dissipated, no longer spilling outward. Inside the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp, a small purple mark appeared, engraving Jiang Chengxuan's seal on it. Although it was tiny, it proved that the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp had acknowledged him as its master. At that moment, Jiang Chengxuan felt his heart stabilize. Although his body was fatigued, his spirit was incredibly uplifted and even excited. After fully subduing the ancient Bodhi lotus lamp, he now knew its name and its supernatural abilities. This treasure, named the Bodhi Lotus Lamp, was an extraordinary treasure of unknown origins. It was born in an ancient and mysterious treasure land, where a great being of the past had cultivated. It absorbed the essence of the sun and moon, and the aura of the Tao from its cultivation, accumulating much karma. Later, the great being refined it with extraordinary means and gave it to their disciples, passing it down to its current owner. The Bodhi Lotus Lamp originally came from a divine Bodhi tree. After absorbing numerous essences, it possessed extraordinary life force. Inside it formed a miniature world that was not weaker than the heaven realm itself. It could continuously condense heaven source energy, producing Bodhi seeds. Each Bodhi seed not only contained powerful heaven source energy, making it a precious cultivation resource, but it also improved one's affinity with the Tao and greatly enhanced the body's self-healing ability. In short, with the Bodhi Lotus Lamp, one would possess a cultivation treasure trove, with resources beyond the reach of ordinary cultivators. As Jiang Chengxuan absorbed the information from the Bodhi Lotus Lamp, he couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement. This treasure had already transcended his current realm and was an opportunity that could not be sought after. If he could make good use of it, his future cultivation path would be unimpeded. Wife, this time we are going to make a fortune. After calming his mind a little, Jiang Chengxuan turned to Shen Ruyan and told her all the information he had learned about the Bodhi Lotus Lamp. Upon hearing this, Shen Ruyan instantly understood the significance of the treasure. Her beautiful eyes sparkled with astonishment as she covered her red lips and exclaimed, "This treasure must be incredibly important even to a celestial immortal. It has such supernatural abilities." In response, Jiang Chengxuan sighed with lingering fear, nodding repeatedly. "If this were not the Xianxia immortal domain which resonates with me, I would have had no chance of subduing it. This treasure must be fused quickly, otherwise it will bring great consequences in the future." With those words, Jiang Chengxuan hesitated no longer. He circulated his heaven source energy and activated the power of the heavenly calamity to cover up the karmic traces. Next, he solemnly expanded his heaven realm and sealed the Bodhi Lotus Lamp at the deepest part of it. He continuously used the power of the heaven realm to merge with it, fully subduing it and severing its connection to the celestial immortal. All of this could only be done by relying on the isolation of the ancient world. As long as the Bodhi Lotus Lamp was not completely refined, Jiang Chengxuan could not enter the ancient world. Otherwise, it would be immediately sensed by the celestial immortal and bring about his annihilation. That should be enough. After setting up the final blocking formation in his heaven realm, Jiang Chengxuan whispered with satisfaction. At this moment, the ancient Bodhi Lotus Lamp lay at the bottom of a deep abyss, surrounded by layers of formations, floating in the endless heaven source energy. Once the refinement was completed, Jiang Chengxuan believed that unless his blessed land was destroyed, even a celestial immortal's perception would never be able to detect the Bodhi Lotus Lamp. Next, let me try one of these Bodhi seeds. Chapter 1522, The Might of the Bodhi Lotus Lamp 1. After settling everything, Jiang Chengxuan felt a sense of anticipation and decided to test the power of the Bodhi Lotus Lamp. Silently chanting in his heart, he activated his cultivation technique and mobilized the power of his heaven realm. In an instant, within the deepest abyss of the heaven realm, wind and clouds began to surge. Waves of mist poured in, infusing immense heaven source power into the floating Bodhi Lotus Lamp. Suddenly, 9 colored lights exploded, weaving into an otherworldly spectacle within the abyss. An overwhelming life force surged into the sky, enveloping the area within 100 miles of the heaven realm. At once, amidst the already strange and extraordinary abyss, vibrant plants and trees began to grow. Above the sky, life-giving rain fell, filling every inch of air with powerful heaven source energy. At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan could already feel that his heaven realm was slowly being refined. Each strand of Tao principles within it became more solid, and heaven source power continuously manifested. This energy returned to Jiang Chengxuan's immortal body, making him feel as if every inch of his body was expanding. Even his bones felt lighter, and with every breath, a powerful aura emanated from him, as if he had become a furnace of life, inhaling and exhaling the essence of all things. Just by activating the power of the Bodhi Lotus Lamp, Jiang Chengxuan's strength was steadily increasing. Although the progress was slow, it was extremely solid, growing both in terms of Tao principles and physical body. This transformation startled both Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan. Even if they had greatly overestimated the value of the Bodhi lotus lamp, they would still find that they had underestimated it. After all, this was a celestial immortal treasure, an ancient item. Its first owner had likely already surpassed the realm of celestial immortals. They might have even been a grand Luo golden immortal. Although the Bodhi lotus lamp was casually refined by this person, someone at such a level would contain the principles of the Tao in every breath. Every movement could control the creation and destruction of all things. The Bodhi lotus lamp, having absorbed their aura, was not just extraordinary among celestial immortal treasures. It was an exceptional existence. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At the bottom of the abyss, the Bodhi lotus lamp spun wildly, releasing waves of power. It emitted a humming sound like a deep bell, penetrating the soul. Then above the Bodhi lotus lamp, a green light exploded. In an instant, a winding, ancient tree-like shadow appeared, resembling the Bodhi tree itself. The tree gently swayed in the wind, with its lush green leaves reflecting the myriad worlds. Numerous exquisite Bodhi seeds grew within it, gleaming like stars. Upon closer inspection, one could see natural patterns carved onto each Bodhi seed, depicting visions of gods and Buddhas, filled with Tao principles and supernatural power, leaving an awe-inspiring impact on the mind. Buzz. Finally, when the Bodhi tree's shadow grew to its fullest, the last resonance of the Tao reverberated throughout the sky and abyss, echoing in Jiang Chengxuan's mind. A crystal-clear Bodhi seed, glowing WITH Chinese letter, immortal light, fell from the tree like a bird seeking shelter. It passed through a nine-colored rainbow and landed in Jiang Chengxuan's palm. Jiang Chengxuan felt that this seed was slightly warm. At first glance, it appeared no different from an ordinary immortal fruit, even somewhat smooth and warm like jade. But he knew that the power contained within this Bodhi seed was something he had to handle with caution. "My husband, I will protect you." Seeing this, Shen Ruyan, even more serious than Jiang Chengxuan, softly spoke to him. She transformed into a breeze and went to guard the entrance of the cave. Thus, only Jiang Chengxuan remained in the cave, holding the Bodhi seed in his hand. Without hesitation, his eyes burned with intensity as he flicked his fingers and swallowed the Bodhi seed. He then manifested his heaven realm, expanding it to the size of a room. He sat cross-legged within it, using the power of the heaven realm to assist in refining the Bodhi seed's power. In an instant, as the Bodhi seed was refined within Jiang Chengxuan's body, a powerful surge of life force and heaven source power was generated, filling his limbs and bones. His meridians were lit up, being refined by the life energy. It felt as though his body was being reshaped like the roots of a tree, growing more resilient with every passing moment. Even though the immense heaven source energy was violently flowing through his body, following the path of his cultivation technique, he only felt a slight fullness, without any discomfort. This first Bodhi seed was the most terrifying, not only bestowing vast heaven source power, but also transforming the body itself, laying a foundation for absorbing future power from the Bodhi seeds. Almost without needing Jiang Chengxuan's guidance, the immense power automatically transformed into his cultivation. His cultivation advanced rapidly, increasing at a steadfast speed. He had just broken through to the celestial immortal realm, but his foundation immediately became solid, as though he had already advanced for 1,000 years. Moreover, Jiang Chengxuan's heaven realm, now in sync with him, also felt the impact of the heaven source power. The various Tao principles hidden within the heaven realm began to be nourished, and the rules of heaven and earth began to expand. Mountains became verdant, stars began to shine, and with a series of rumblings, the boundaries of the heaven realm expanded. At the core, heaven's source power began to accumulate at a visible speed. It was as if a new land was awakening from its first rain. Immersed in this endless improvement, Jiang Chengxuan soon lost track of time. Days passed, and only after several hundred days, when the power of the Bodhi seed was completely absorbed by the heaven realm, did he finally awaken. At this point, my strength has at least increased by 30%. Chapter 15:23, The Might of the Bodhi Lotus Lamp 2. The moment Jiang Chengxuan opened his eyes, a flash of lightning shot from his pupils, igniting arcs of fire in the air. His heart was filled with uncontrollable excitement and joy as he muttered to himself. Just one Bodhi seed was worth the cultivation of an average immortal for 10,000 years. How could he not feel elated by this? Although he knew this was the first time he had refined a Badhai seed, which had extra effects, this did not mean that future refinements would be less effective. In fact, each subsequent refinement of a Badhai seed would increase his power by nearly 10%. Furthermore, the Badhai lotus lamp produced a Badhai seed every 3,000 years, which meant it was an inexhaustible resource, truly endless. Even without further extraordinary encounters, with the Badhai lotus lamp alone, Jiang Chengxuan could cultivate peacefully until reaching the semi-immortal realm. After experiencing such a dramatic change in his own strength, Jiang Chengxuan immediately called for Shen Ruyan, eager to share this astonishing joy with her. Husband, congratulations. With such a supreme treasure, there's nothing to worry about in achieving the Tao. Shen Ruyan's eyes sparkled as she looked at Jiang Chengxuan, whose aura had become even more transcendent. Her graceful figure trembled with excitement. As a fellow powerful cultivator, Shen Ruyan understood exactly what this change meant. Jiang Chengxuan smiled warmly at his extremely excited wife, saying, "Wife, you should also try the power of the Badhai lotus lamp." He planned to let Shen Ruyan experience the power of the Badhai lotus lamp as well, since there were still several mature Badhai seeds inside it. However, Jiang Chengxuan did not directly give her a Badhai seed to refine. The reason was simple. With her cultivation at the Earth Immortal level, she was not yet capable of safely refining a Badhai seed. If forced, it could lead to great danger. Instead, he would use the power of the Badhai lotus lamp to refine a few drops of Badhai essence from the seeds for her to absorb. He would also stay close, using the Badhai lotus lamp to monitor the process, ready to intervene at any moment. Soon, seated in her own blessed land, Shen Ruyan began to experience a profound change. The air around her shimmered with ethereal mist as her skin, already fairer than snow, radiated an astonishing glow. In her blessed land, which usually surged with thunderous energy, a wave of pale light appeared, showing the immense life energy she was now channeling, activating the Tao of life and death to its peak. Shen Ruyan occasionally hummed softly as she was impacted by powerful primal energy. However, instead of discomfort, she felt an overwhelming sense of ease. With Jiang Chengxuan watching approvingly, Shen Ruyan's aura grew at a visible rate, rapidly rising from mid-earth immortal to late-earth immortal. By the time she reached the threshold of earth immortal perfection, her progress slowed, and she finally stabilized her cultivation. It was worth noting that even Jiang Chengxuan had spent thousands of years in seclusion to reach this stage, making his achievement rare in the history of the immortal domain. Yet now, Shen Ruyan had broken through from mid-earth immortal to late-earth immortal in just a few hundred days, a pace that was almost instantaneous for immortals. "The world is vast and wonders are countless," Shen Ruyan exclaimed in awe, her voice filled with admiration. "The power of the Badhai lotus lamp is truly beyond belief." Even though she had seen many fortuitous events with Jiang Chengxuan, she couldn't help but marvel at this unimaginable treasure. If the other celestial, immortal treasures we discover in the future possess such power. The two exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with both reverence and expectation. After all, the Badhai lotus lamp was not the only celestial immortal treasure lost in the Xianxia immortal domain. The news of others, however, was still unknown. Regardless, we cannot allow these celestial immortal treasures to fall into the wrong hands, or the consequences would be unimaginable, Jiang Chengxuan said decisively, his tone firm. Having witnessed the terrifying power of the Badhai lotus lamp, he now deeply understood the formidable foundation of a celestial immortal treasure. An item like the Badhai lotus lamp could change the entire structure of the immortal domain. Especially when he traveled to the ancient realm in the future, every celestial immortal treasure in the wrong hands could lead to catastrophic destruction. Indeed, these treasures' power has transcended this world, Shen Ruyan said cautiously, her understanding deepening as she witnessed the allure these treasures had for immortals. If things went as expected, the people from the ancient realm would undoubtedly intervene in the upcoming struggles. What was once a guess had now become a certainty. "A common man without guilt, but holding a precious gem, is guilty," Jiang Chengxuan muttered grimly. "I believe we have caught the ancient realm off guard with this sudden opening of the Xianxia city secret realm." Jiang Chengxuan's expression became solemn as he analyzed the situation. "We must remain vigilant and prepare for what comes next, leaving nothing to chance." His eyes gleamed coldly, his resolve firm as he prepared for the upcoming battles. Over the next period, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan continued their intensive cultivation, solidifying and advancing their cultivation levels. During this time, Jiang Chengxuan even invited Yuan Hangxian and Fu Guangxianren to use the Bodhi essence to boost their cultivation. He simply explained it as a fortuitous opportunity. Though the two were surprised, they didn't question it. Soon, they were astonished by the power of the Bodhi essence as their cultivation skyrocketed. After some time refining, they both broke through to the late Earth immortal stage. After the breakthrough, both were left dazed for a while, unsure of what to say. Finally, they sincerely thanked Jiang Chengxuan and expressed even deeper admiration and awe. In response, Jiang Chengxuan remained indifferent. Yuan Hangxian and Fu Guangxianren had been by his side for many years, fighting through many dangers. They were trusted allies in the Xuanming immortal domain, and their increased strength would only benefit him. Next, Jiang Chengxuan did not forget his master, Qin Shenwu, who also experienced the Bodhi essence. This brought him to the edge of breaking through to the Earth immortal realm. Chengxuan? This. Qin Shenwu's face was filled with astonishment, his body emanating Chinese letter, immortal light. He felt as though he was an energy volcano, with immortal mist pouring out of him with every breath. Master, I'll congratulate you in advance for breaking through to the Earth immortal realm. Jiang Chengxuan chuckled, sending his dazed master into seclusion to break through. In the Xuanming immortal domain, the Earth immortal ranks were far from filled, and Jiang Chengxuan intended to ensure his people occupied as many positions as possible. Next, Jiang Chengxuan also distributed Bodhi essence to a few loyal elders from the loose cultivator alliance. Among them were Old Su and Qingyun Zun of the Qingyun immortal sect. After being stunned by the effects, the Bodhi essence was used to refine them, allowing them to integrate its power. Soon, their cultivation surged, breaking through barriers they hadn't passed in years. Each one's aura grew by more than 50% to 60%, nearly doubling. Qingyun Zun's broken blessed land was even restored, allowing him to return to the Earth immortal realm on the spot. The elder, who had seen countless storms, couldn't help but tear up in gratitude, repeatedly bowing to Jiang Chengxuan. Jiang Chengxuan quickly stopped him, telling him to focus on stabilizing his cultivation. Elder Jiang, this great favor will never be forgotten, the elder exclaimed. As Jiang Chengxuan helped elevate his allies, the strength of the entire loose cultivator alliance surged, doubling their high-end combat power. Several Earth immortals were soon to emerge, securing the alliance's dominance. Chapter 1524, The New Xuan Artifact, Lan Wang Plateau /1. After obtaining the Bodhi Lotus Lantern, Jiang Chengxuan's state of mind became completely peaceful. He no longer felt the restlessness that had once plagued him when he first learned about the ancient realm. Strength was the foundation for establishing oneself in the immortal cultivation world, and with the Bodhi Lotus Lantern as a great opportunity, Jiang Chengxuan no longer had to worry about falling behind in the ancient realm and delaying his path of cultivation. Furthermore, another intangible threat, the people of the ancient realm, no longer made Jiang Chengxuan feel uncertain. As his strength grew, he even began to have the desire to challenge the cultivators of the ancient realm, wanting to see how far the gap between himself and them had become. However, despite these thoughts, Jiang Chengxuan couldn't just go and challenge someone from the ancient realm casually. In the time that followed, he took charge of the branch of the Loose Cultivator Alliance in Jiangzhou, focusing on cultivating divine powers, refining his cave heavens, and patiently waiting for news of the Xuan immortal artifacts. The scouts from the Loose Cultivator Alliance had already been dispatched to various places within the Xuanming immortal domain to search for the aura of the Xuan immortal artifacts. He had provided them with treasures and methods that would allow them to keenly sense the presence of these artifacts, ensuring no mistakes would be made. My lord, there is news. One day, while sitting cross-legged in a cave residence filled with radiant immortal light, Jiang Chengxuan heard the joyful voice of Shen Ruyan. The second Xuan immortal artifact, as expected, had made progress. This time, according to reports from the scouts under his command, the sensing method for the Xuan immortal artifact had detected a reaction in a certain area of the eastern continent in the Xuanming immortal domain. Without hesitation, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan broke through the void and stepped into the immortal domain once again, arriving at the land of the eastern continent. Xuanming immortal domain, eastern continent, was a very mysterious land. Compared to the other continents, this one appeared extremely low-key. While cultivators could often be seen moving about in the other continents, cultivators from the eastern continent were exceptionally rare. They rarely left the eastern continent to join the cities and immortal sects of other continents. Only in special circumstances would they temporarily go outside. Therefore, when Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan changed their appearances and entered Donglan Immortal City, they immediately attracted the attention of many cultivators. In the major roads and tall buildings of the Immortal City, their clothing was very out of place, and it was immediately obvious they were not from the eastern continent. Looking around, the Immortal City was bustling, and the buildings were ancient and exquisitely designed with carved beams and painted rafters. The cultivators wore luxurious attire adorned with dragon and phoenix patterns, swords and jade pendants, each one radiating a spirited aura. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, dressed modestly on purpose, stood out even more in comparison. This situation amused them both. "Two exalted immortals, the best private rooms are available. Please make yourself at home. These immortal crystals, please use them to buy some clothes from your city." Fortunately, the cultivators from the eastern continent were not strange people, and they were quite friendly. After Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan asked a maid to buy some local clothing, they settled into a shop and changed into the city's elegant attire, transforming their humble appearance. With their new outfits, they looked like an immortal couple, handsome and elegant. "Have you heard? There's a treasure light rising from Lan Wang Plateau today. It seems like a secret realm is about to emerge. Why don't we go explore together?" "Is that true? Don't try to fool me. I'm not well read." "HMPH. That secret realm has already been sealed off by several immortal sects working together. I advise you not to waste your time." As Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan finished adjusting, the voices of discussion in the shop's lobby were clearly caught by their sharp senses. The two exchanged a look, their eyes flashing with light, but there was no surprise. In fact, this was precisely the reason they had chosen to stay in the busy shop in the first place. In a city of immortals, if one wanted to gather a lot of information without relying on power, the best place was naturally where many cultivators gathered. Impossible, there are several immortal sects around here, and they are not on good terms with each other. How could they work together to seal off the secret realm? What do you know? Other forces have entered the eastern continent, so when news spread, the major immortal sects naturally set aside their grudges and worked together to block it. Then we are not outsiders. Why can't we enter the secret realm? To enter the secret realm, they only allow cultivators above true immortal rank. You think you can just waltz in? As Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan listened in, the debate in the lobby became more heated, revealing more information. It seems that the movement of the Xuan artifacts can't be hidden after all. Jiang Chengxuan said slowly, his gaze calm, showing no surprise. As for the so-called sealing, it was of no concern to them, and they had no need to worry. Indeed, given the power of those treasures, it's hard not to draw attention. The two of them continued their conversation nonchalantly while listening to the discussions outside. Soon, they had gathered nearly all the information about the area. It turned out that around this secret realm, near Donglan Immortal City, there were three major forces from high-level immortal domains, each with an Earth immortal ancestor guarding their sect. Normally, even with a secret realm emerging, the three large forces wouldn't forcibly seal it off, but... Chapter 1525. The new Xuan artifact, Lan Wang Plateau /2. This easily led to some unrest, which could negatively affect the reputation of the sects involved. However, this time it was different. In a mysterious turn of events, the ancestors of the three major forces all sensed an extraordinary aura, realizing that this secret realm was definitely something exceptional. Coincidentally, another powerful force had also invaded the area, attempting to take control of a portion of the secret realm. This put some pressure on the three major sects near Donglan Immortal City, forcing them to temporarily join forces, with both the excuse and the power to fully seal off the area around the secret realm. According to their rules, only cultivators at the true immortal level or higher were allowed to enter the secret realm. Moreover, any resources obtained within the secret realm had to be handed over to the three sects when leaving, or else severe punishment would follow. Though this rule was domineering, with the three sects joining forces, it would be extremely difficult for other sects to resist. "We won't interfere with Eastern Continent matters. When the time comes, we'll just leave," Jiang Chengxuan said slowly, not intending to forcefully involve himself in the situation. If such an incident had occurred in the Western continent, he would certainly have intervened. However, this was the Eastern continent, and even though he had the ability, he wasn't going to meddle in their affairs. With their strength, they could easily infiltrate the secret realm. As for leaving later, who could possibly catch up to them? Lan Wang Plateau. This was a relatively ordinary place outside of Donglan Immortal City, not considered a treasure land. No large sect had rooted itself here, nor did any immortal beasts dominate the area. Over the past several million years, aside from the constant howling of the fierce winds, there hadn't been any major upheaval or attention drawn to it. But at this moment, atop the Lan Wang Plateau, the already endless gusts of wind now mixed with a destructive aura, sweeping across 1,000 miles in an instant, accompanied by the howling of the wind. Across the plateau, the grass and trees, half a person's height, bowed down under the terrifying force of the wind. From time to time, thunder rumbled in the sky, shaking the earth. High above, the clouds and wind gathered into a massive vortex that nearly swallowed half of the Lan Wang Plateau, as though invisible hands were stirring everything, creating a truly shocking sight. At the center of this vortex, within a radius of several hundred miles, countless figures of cultivators could be seen, unlike the usual deathly silence. They all wore gray heavy armor that glinted coldly, standing among the low-lying grass like a frozen city wall, blocking any outsiders. These cultivators were from 3 immortal sects: the Xianxia Immortal sect, the Taida Immortal sect, and the Jinggang Immortal sect. Each one was a famous and powerful force in the Eastern continent. Today, they had gathered here, bringing almost all of their battle forces to secure a secret realm. "Everyone is so welcoming. I'm surprised at the grand reception," came a voice from across the field. On the opposite side of the 3 sects, another massive group stood still. Above, someone was carrying a storm, their voice like thunder, shaking the vast plateau below. With a single word, the disciples of the 3 sects were shaken, their minds vibrating as if a demonic sound filled their ears. HMPH, don't be so impudent. Immediately, from above the 3 sects, with a cold snort, several figures appeared. In an instant, their auras were fully revealed, and the pressure of Earth immortal-level cultivators exploded, causing the entire heavens and Earth to tremble. Their ethereal sound waves surged toward the opposing group. Without a doubt, these were the ancestors of the 3 sects, who had long valued this secret realm and had already arrived in this space. "Not them again," Jiang Chengxuan murmured with some surprise as his gaze pierced through the layers of void to observe the situation. He suddenly sensed a familiar aura, but it didn't come from any of the 3 sects. It was coming from the people standing opposite them. "Xianxia sect, their influence really reaches far," Shen Ruyan said slowly, her eyes flashing coldly. Indeed, the people opposite the 3 sects were from the Xianxia sect, their peculiar powers standing out. "It seems they must have some connection with the ancient realm," Jiang Chengxuan concluded, a hint of amusement in his eyes. Given that they could repeatedly discover the whereabouts of the Xuan immortal artifacts, even extending their influence into the Eastern continent, Jiang Chengxuan didn't believe that there wasn't some power from the ancient realm assisting them. Even the methods he had passed on to his disciples had been derived from the ancient realm's techniques. Otherwise, how could they have found the Xuan immortal artifacts so easily if they had no connection to them? The only distinct feature was that these artifacts had come from the ancient realm not long ago. "This is as far as you go." At this moment, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan reached the boundary sealed off by the 3 major forces. A man in jade armor stood in front of them, blocking their path with a murderous gaze. "We want to enter this secret realm," Jiang Chengxuan replied directly, not wasting words, while his divine sense continued to observe the distant confrontation. "Do you know the rules?" the man in jade armor asked after hearing their reply. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan revealed their true immortal-level auras, and the man nodded. "Anything obtained within the secret realm must be submitted to us, or you will face the consequences," the man warned. Following the warning from the jade-armored man, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan walked deeper into the area. "Isn't it a bit too greedy for you all to want to handle this secret realm alone?" Just then, another new force appeared, occupying a portion of the battlefield in the Xianxia sect and the 3 major sects' dispute. Upon seeing this person's arrival, the ancestors of the 3 sects immediately narrowed their eyes, shouting angrily, "Greywind Immortal Alliance, are you really planning to ally with these forces from other continents?" Clearly, this new force came from the eastern continent itself, not another continent. In response to the questioning from the three sects' ancestors, the Earth Immortal from the Greywind Immortal Alliance let out an eerie laugh and said loudly, "Hee hee, since you don't want to give me a chance, then I'll have to take it myself. What eastern continent, western continent? You've never thought much of us, and now you come talking about relationships." This conversation seemed to reveal some grudges between the three major sects. However, Jiang Chengxuan paid no attention. At this moment, he had already blended into the group of Eastern Continent cultivators, waiting silently and watching the situation unfold. "Let's see if you have the ability to back it up," came a shout. "Traitor, take this palm strike." The next moment, a roar echoed from the heavens as the ancestors of the three major sects unleashed their Earth Immortal power, and the wind howled with destructive force, attacking fiercely. The immense pressure from the battle shook the cultivators around Jiang Chengxuan, causing them to tremble in fear, whispering among themselves, "A bunch of old fools who don't know better. Let's attack together." In an instant, the Earth Immortals of the Xianxia sect and the Greywind Immortal Alliance retaliated, unleashing their powers and summoning their lands of fortune. Their primal energy surged as they extended their divine abilities, intercepting the attacks from the three major sects. Boom! The battle between dozens of Earth Immortal cultivators broke out at the center of the Lan Wang Plateau, unleashing terrifying phenomena that ripped apart the void. Even against the backdrop of the massive vortex, the powers they unleashed were still so overwhelming that a single movement could destroy the heavens, shaking the stars in the sky. "Damn it, do they not care about our safety? Quickly attack, let's resist the aftermath." As the chaos in the skies erupted, the cultivators around Jiang Chengxuan all took a sharp breath, their auras rising. Waves of immortal power flew outward in response. The residual force from the Earth Immortal battle was enough to cause serious distress to even the true immortal cultivators present. Chapter 1526, Dangerous Secret Realm, Desolate World /1. Boom, boom. Above the nine heavens, the endless chaotic currents had completely enveloped the Lan Wang Plateau, as if they were going to devour the entire area. The divine powers and immortal treasures of the Earth Immortals unleashed blazing rays of light, like towering spears, tearing apart the clouds and winds, leaving behind massive fragments of space. At the center of the storm, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan, along with a group of true immortal cultivators who were still shaken, hid behind a protective barrier. They looked up at the figures above, which blocked out the sky, occasionally exploding with lightning and thunder, resembling some ancient giant race battling against the heavens. On the side of the three great sects of the Eastern Continent, 6 Earth Immortal Elders had joined the fray. Each sect had sent 2 ancestors, each using different divine powers and treasures to manifest unusual phenomena. The 2 elders of the Yuxiang Immortal sect each held a jade ruyi, emitting piercing blue light in the darkness, while the other wielded a green jade seal, transforming it into a massive mountain range, suppressing the battlefield with its immense power. Both of their fortresses were made of jade, crystal clear, with mountains, rivers, and even plants all made of jade. They possessed an extremely strong defense, indestructible. Even facing the onslaught of Earth Immortals, these jade peaks only sustained minor damage, with no major harm. Similarly, the 2 elders of the Taida Immortal sect followed a similar approach, excelling in defense. They each summoned a treasure tower, extraordinary in nature. The energy of the primordial force surged, solidifying space and even time, standing unmovable. The sect's practitioners each had their own personal tower, cultivated and refined over their journey, requiring no other treasures to fully unleash their own techniques. When their divine powers erupted, every inch of their bodies was as hard as meteorite iron, impervious to swords and spears, even their eyes able to shatter ordinary immortal weapons. As for the Jinggang Immortal sect, they practiced the power of the indestructible Vajra, capable of transforming into a Vajra-like divine form. Using the power of gods and Buddhas, their golden light and sacred sound could eliminate all evil, making them highly effective against Chinese letter evil or demonic forces. The 2 elders of the Jinggang Immortal sect were the most prominent figures in the storm, appearing like 2 golden mountains, their eyes blazing like the sun. When they struck, they could scorch the sky and incinerate the stars of the 9 heavens. The 6 Earth immortals of the Eastern continent, despite their grudges, cooperated flawlessly, forming a nearly impenetrable formation. They pushed back their enemies, forcing them into retreat. Opposing them were the 3 Earth immortals from the Xianxia sect and the 2 elders from the Greywind Immortal Alliance, who stirred up destructive black mist and bizarre evil winds, churning the chaos across the world. Their eyes burned with vicious intent, and their strikes were ruthless. The Earth immortals of the Eastern continent have very strong techniques and a deep foundation. Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan communicated quietly, observing the battlefield. They were unfazed, focusing on the fight. From the scene, they could see that the 3 great sects of the Eastern continent were slowly gaining the upper hand, steadily forcing back the Xianxia sect and their allies. It was the first time they had seen the strength of the Eastern continent's cultivation world, which was incredibly powerful, rivaling the North Continent and South Continent, and even holding its own against the Central Continent. It seemed that the Eastern continent's mysterious actions were due to their confidence in their own traditions and strength. Boom, boom, boom. The battle between the Earth immortals intensified, gradually lowering the Lan Wang plateau by dozens of feet from the destructive force. After fierce combat, the Xianxia sect began to fall into a disadvantage, being repeatedly pushed back. Some of their Earth immortals had even sustained injuries. "Damn it, a bunch of old ghosts. You're the ones who sought death," one of the Xianxia sect's Earth immortals shouted angrily, transforming into a black wind to avoid the incoming attacks. His eyes flickered, and suddenly a strange aura gathered in his chest, as if preparing to unleash some terrifying power. Seeing this, the other 2 Earth immortals from the Xianxia sect also made similar movements, seemingly preparing to unleash some form of dreadful force to change the tide of the battle. In an instant, Jiang Chengxuan's expression grew serious. He could distinctly sense a familiar aura, almost like the techniques from the ancient realm. Just as I thought. At this moment, everything became clear. The Xianxia sect was not what it appeared to be. It was connected to forces from the ancient realm, operating secretly in the Xianxia immortal domain. Furthermore, the hidden powers of the ancient realm were clearly targeting the Xianxia immortal artifacts, sending the Xianxia sect to stir up trouble and seize the treasures of the secret realm. All of this had been done covertly. The ancestors of the Eastern continent's 3 major sects, focused on their upcoming victory, had no idea of the ancient forces lurking beneath. Buzz, buzz. However, just as the battle seemed poised to shift, a strange sound suddenly erupted from the giant storm vortex above the Lan Wang plateau. Waves of overwhelming power surged out from the vortex, sweeping across the vast world, halting the Earth immortal battle above the 9 heavens and forcing the Xianxia sect's Earth immortals to pause. Within the vortex, a profound black portal opened, radiating an ominous and unsettling aura. Without a doubt, this was the sign of the secret realm opening. Yet, as the aura spread, the many immortals present frowned, their hearts filled with a sense of foreboding. The moment the secret realm began to open, its aura alone could reveal much. For instance, when the secret realm of Xianxia City opened, with treasure lights soaring into the sky and immortal mists swirling, it was clear that many treasures would emerge and numerous opportunities would unfold. Chapter 1527, Dangerous Secret Realm, Desolate World /2. At this moment, the secret realm opening on the Lan Wang Plateau emitted an ominous aura, making anyone who looked at it feel a sense of suppression and unease. Behind the pitch-black portal, it felt as if something was lurking, almost like a giant mouth waiting to devour everything in sight. Even the ancestors of the 3 great Eastern continent sects were at a loss. Their instincts told them that this secret realm held great opportunities, yet the aura exuding from it was eerie and murderous. This meant that the secret realm was most likely a perilous place filled with dangers. Had they known this, they might not have gone to such lengths to seal off the area. Haha, are you all scared now? This place is beyond your reach. Don't even think about seizing the opportunities within. If you fall inside, it will be nothing but a laughing stock. At this moment, the Earth immortals from the Xianxia sect, standing opposite, laughed mockingly and provocatively at the ancestors of the 3 great sects. Upon hearing this, the elders of the 3 sects frowned, their expressions grave and filled with anger. The situation of the secret realm had clearly taken them by surprise, and they had to reassess how to approach their exploration. At the very least, they couldn't allow disciples who were either too weak or too arrogant to enter, for it was likely that such individuals would suffer greatly. However, they couldn't simply abandon their quest to explore the secret realm. After all, they had already invested considerable effort, and they knew that opportunity and danger were always intertwined. Despite the ominous aura of the Lanwang Plateau's secret realm, they still believed their intuition that something precious might lie inside. Otherwise, why would such an ordinary place have a secret realm emerge? And why would it generate such a large disturbance? Woo woo! The sound of a wailing abyss echoed across the heavens and earth, reverberating with an eerie, unsettling tone. In an instant, upon seeing the opening of the secret realm, many cultivators became calm. No one moved recklessly, in stark contrast to the excitement when the Xianxia city's secret realm had opened. Some of the true immortals and middle continent cultivators, who had been waiting for the right moment to fish in troubled waters, didn't hesitate at all. They immediately turned into streaks of light and fled the area. They weren't here to be cannon fodder for the sects. If the secret realm had enough treasures, they might have considered offering some, but now, seeing the ominous atmosphere, they quickly abandoned the idea of further exploration. Kekek, then we won't be polite. Let's go, enter the secret realm. However, on the opposite side of the Eastern Continent cultivators, the Xianxia sect and the Greywind Immortal Alliance didn't share such concerns. Under the command of the leading Earth Immortals, a dark cloud of calamity surged forward like a tidal wave, bypassing the storm in the nine heavens, and rushed directly into the entrance of the secret realm, as if a stone sinking into the sea without stirring a single ripple. At this moment, the Earth Immortal ancestors from the Middle Continent sects, their eyes flashing, didn't make a move to stop them. Though they had managed to force the opposing sects back in battle, driving them away entirely would take more time. Now that the secret realm was right in front of them, they knew it was a race against time and couldn't afford to waste any more moments. Moreover, the most important thing was that this secret realm wasn't as desirable as they had initially thought. It was clearly a perilous place. In this case, allowing the Xianxia sect and the Greywind Immortal Alliance to enter and stir things up could actually be beneficial for them. After all, those sects were not weak, and their presence could potentially cause disruption inside the secret realm, allowing them to carve out some space for exploration. It seems that the treasures inside this secret realm might not be Xuan immortal artifacts after all. Feeling the abyssal aura from the nine heavens above, Jiang Chengxuan couldn't help but murmur cautiously. There was some force within the secret realm that made him feel uneasy, something far from ordinary. He couldn't help but wonder if the sudden appearance of the Xuan immortal was related to what lay within the secret realm. An existence like the Xuan immortal shouldn't have been associated with such a mysterious and dangerous thing, logically speaking. All elders, listen up. Select a batch of disciples from our sect and exclude anyone not at the elite level. Those with insufficient cultivation time are not allowed to enter the secret realm. Soon, the three great sects of the Eastern Continent quickly mobilized and reorganized their exploration teams, cutting down the number of people. Meanwhile, some of the true immortals surrounding Jiang Chengxuan, realizing the situation wasn't looking good, sighed and transformed into streaks of light, leaving the area. In the end, only a fraction of the original group remained. Soon, the reality proved that their cautious actions were correct. Before Jiang Chengxuan, the Earth Immortal elders from the three great sects slowly approached, their expressions serious as they spoke. Your offerings have been reduced to 30%. You may enter the secret realm now. This statement was both a carrot and a stick, and the true immortals around them looked uneasy under the pressure of the Earth Immortals. Sai, we should leave now. Whether it's fortune or misfortune, we're here now. Since we've stayed, we must understand what's at stake. No more hesitation. At that moment, several esteemed true immortals from the Eastern Continent spoke up, encouraging the rest to make up their minds. With the cold gazes of the Earth Immortals on them, the group, after a brief moment of hesitation, unleashed their immortal energy and soared into the air. They were entering first, and they knew full well they were being used as pawns to scout the way. These seasoned cultivators had figured it out. They had already guessed that if the sects had lowered their offerings and offered benefits, they wouldn't pass up the opportunity, but they had no illusions about their role. Once inside the secret realm, don't turn on each other. This place is strange, and I'm sure you can all sense it. We who aren't from the three great sects won't be protected. We must look out for each other if we want to make it out. At the edge of the pitch-black abyss, the leader of the true immortals turned around once again and addressed the group. Before them, the giant, mouth-like existence continued to exude dark mist, amplifying the unsettling feeling in their hearts. The group nodded in agreement, none of them voicing any objections. They all carried their own means of survival, confident in their abilities. But in this strange and dangerous place, having someone to rely on could make all the difference. Among them, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan remained silent, appearing indifferent, which caused others to avoid approaching them. Soon, the strongest of the true immortals took a deep breath, summoned his immortal power to form a protective barrier around himself, and stepped forward into the dark entrance of the secret realm. "Let's go." Following the crowd, Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan entered. In an instant, their surroundings were pitch black, not a single light to be seen. A heavy, almost unbearable force pressed in from all directions, as if they were being swallowed whole, continually churned and chewed. Seeing this, Jiang Chengxuan furrowed his brow, waved his hand, and released a faint ripple of heavenly energy, pushing the pressure away. After a moment, the strange sensation of twisting and squirming disappeared, and light slowly returned. Ahead of them, a vast and barren land stretched out, nothing but desolation. The gray sky made the entire world feel like a stagnant pool of water. In the distance, the mountains were cracked open, resembling the gaping maw of a giant crocodile. No need to even sense it. An overwhelming aura of destruction filled the air, and within 100 miles, there wasn't a trace of treasure or vitality. It was hard to imagine that this was a secret realm. This place, how did it come into existence? How could it be so desolate? Shen Ruyan couldn't help but gasp in surprise, her voice filled with uncertainty. The other true immortals who had entered with them had already disappeared. Chapter 1528, The Eerie Secret Realm, Various Situations /1. The desolate and barren world before them looked like a painting from a destitute artist. Everywhere they looked, there were endless scars, an unsettling and shocking sight. The void itself seemed filled with a sense of destruction, oppressing everything. As Jiang Chengxuan and Shen Ruyan walked across the shattered earth, they felt no trace of life, reminding them of the aftermath of the great calamity they had experienced, where the scenery had been just as grim and heart-wrenching. This place is truly devoid of life. How can it be so desolate? Shen Ruyan furrowed her brows in growing concern, her voice tinged with disbelief. After walking for 100 miles, they still hadn't seen any signs of life, not even a blade of grass, let alone a tree. Even in the most perilous areas of the immortal domains, it wasn't this barren. In the harshest environments with enough time, life forms always emerged, adapting and surviving. Could it be that something catastrophic happened here? Shen Ruyan mused, gazing far into the distance, her worry deepening. But the secret realm has only just opened, so this doesn't make sense. Jiang Chengxuan considered this for a moment before offering another possibility. Another possibility is that this place is newly born, and as soon as it came into existence, it was already in this state. Stepping on the ash beneath them, Jiang Chengxuan continued, adding more uncertainty to the situation. However, this explanation did little to ease their doubts and only deepened the mystery. How could a newly formed world look like this? What force could have caused its birth and yet left it on the brink of destruction? Such questions only added to the confusion and unease. At that moment, all across the secret realm, separated true immortals were also filled with unease, cautiously exploring every corner. No one found anything useful, and while they too speculated, none of the possibilities were reassuring. Buzz, buzz. Meanwhile, on the outer edges of the secret realm, after waiting for a time, the forces of the three major eastern continent sects no longer hesitated and began to enter the secret realm, each preparing to explore cautiously. Upon stepping into the realm, they were immediately taken aback by what they saw, collectively gasping in shock. This wasn't a secret realm, it was a wasteland, a place of destruction. Perhaps some mysterious force caused this place to become what it is, or maybe there is some treasure here. If we manage to obtain it, our names will echo through the eastern continent, and will become revered as celestial lords. Among them, some cultivators, instead of fearing the situation, became more determined. With greedy ambitions burning in their hearts, they saw this desolation as an opportunity for riches and glory, specifically, the cultivators of the Xianxia sect and the Greywind Immortal Alliance. Seeing the wasteland-like state of the secret realm, they remained calm, even feeling quite comfortable in the midst of the pervasive aura of destruction. Master was right. This is indeed the power we sought. One earth immortal from the Xianxia sect appeared within a massive fissure in the ground, his eyes blazing with excitement as he caressed the jagged stone walls. In his hands was an unusual, simple-looking rune, emitting a dark, pulsating light. The rune emitted waves of mysterious energy, resonating with the land's cracks. Its aura bore some resemblance to the methods Jiang Chengxuan had learned to enter the ancient realm, and it was clear that this was the object they had traveled so far to find. The earth immortal of the Xianxia sect, filled with fervor, wasted no time. He didn't even call for his sect's other disciples, instead transforming into a streak of black light and following the fissure further into the earth. After covering several dozen miles, he used the rune to realign the direction, pressing it against the ground. As time passed, the exploration in the secret realm began to unfold in various ways. Some separated true immortals encountered members of the Greywind Immortal Alliance, leading to fierce battles. Meanwhile, the disciples of the three great sects clashed with Xianxia sect members in brutal chases. Other true immortals ventured into strange areas, where they encountered odd, dangerous objects, such as a peculiar medicinal herb composed of writhing black shadows, glowing with dark energy in the middle of a black swamp. The plant distorted the surrounding space, its aura indicating it was no ordinary herb. One such cultivator approached the swamp cautiously, carefully using his immortal treasures to clear the way. He broke through multiple layers of protective formations, eager to collect the rare herb. But as he did, the ground suddenly cracked open beneath him, and countless spikes shot up, forming a cage around him. In the blink of an eye, a massive wave of dark energy surged toward him, piercing through his protective immortal power. Despite his desperate efforts to activate his treasures, he was struck down on the spot. As he perished, he realized the truth. This herb was actually a deceptive lure, part of a strange beast's trap designed to lure in prey. His eyes widened in terror, and he died without ever getting a chance to fight back. Dangers like this were rampant in the secret realm. Either the place was barren or fraught with peril. Those who managed to find opportunities here would be few and far between. Even some of the Earth immortal ancestors from the major sects had fallen victim to strange attacks in the realm. For instance, the elder from the Xianxia Immortal sect, who had fought fiercely with the Xianxia sect earlier, had encountered a wave of dark, demonic winds while in a valley. He summoned his domain and wielded the Jade to release Earth immortal level powers, unleashing several divine techniques.